Hello and welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where this afternoon James Wilson and Tom Sykes booked their spots in finals night. Tonight the field will be complete, and at the halfway stage in Group B, things are getting pretty tight at the top of the table. Tom Londsdale picked up a crucial win in his penultimate game to keep his hopes alive, but as of yet hasn't been able to find the level delivered on his Super Series debut. Webster is above him on leg difference alone at the halfway stage. If he was wondering what he'd let himself in for, he got a pretty good idea last night. Quanto was consistent across his opening three, and despite a significant drop-off, he'll be wondering how he's only amassed 4 points. James Vanbazine is also on 4. We really have seen the emergence of a Super Series talent on the stage this week. Can he become the second Belgian through to finals night? But it's Parry who leads the way, having won all 4 of his matches in Group B. His finishing far better than earlier in the week. Yeah, Paul Nicholson alongside me. We have to start with the Jammy Dodger. Became just the second player in Super Series history to go through the card on both days in Group C. Not a bad way to make your mark on debut.
Yeah, I think there's pressure on people who come straight off the tour into this venue. The way he was able to dominate some games, but also to grind his way through the majority of them, just goes to show what he will offer this place for at least the next 11 months. Yeah,
it really does. Let's have a look then at the group breakdown. Brian Rahman was the first player to book his spot in finals night, coming through the Group A campaign with 24 points. Just a word on him for anyone who wasn't watching that campaign. Really spectacular the way he was able to do that, given the disappointment of not getting his tour card at Q School, and given the fact that he so recently had shoulder surgery.
Yeah, a lot of things to think about. And I think when you talk about someone who's coming straight off the tour, they come into an arena like this, like James Wilson has, and it's their attitude that I've been impressed with this week. It's very easy to have that big head, that I don't belong here mentality. But that's changing over the last couple of years. We saw it with John Henderson last year. He came straight here. He was a realist. He said, right, this is where I'm going to play darts now. I'm going to have to succeed here. We've seen it from Wilson. But with Rahman earlier in the week, his ability to just play darts and not be bogged down by the bad game and revel in the good game, that really impressed me. When he did have a few dodgy visits, he was able to just say, okay, it's just part of my improvement. And if he can win a Group A situation when he's not 100%, what's he going to do when he's fully fit?
Absolutely. James Wilson wasn't the only player to go through the card yesterday. He did so in Group C. In Group B, it was Parry who did just that. He's top of the table on 8 points. His finishing was far superior last night than it was in Group A. But really interesting, speaking to him after last night's session, he said, I have absolutely no idea how.
Sometimes that's the case. You're doing the same thing over and over and over, but some of the instances last night, particularly early, he got off on the right foot. He was hitting shots sharply, and I think his belief was different. His process is very simple. His throw is very natural, and he's going to get games, he's going to get days where he has bad times of it on the double, but if he can minimize that throughout the course of this season, he's going to be a threat for any title that he goes for. But he's given himself the ideal start in this group, and one win will give him a guaranteed spot on Saturday.
Yeah, Tom Londsdale is currently sat bottom of the league standings. We have seen him average in excess of 113 on this stage previously. Didn't really look like trouble in that level last night. What do you think he needs to do differently tonight?
Well, I think the schedule lends itself better to him tonight. He had to wait until game 3 for his first game last night. That's quite late. But tonight he's on first, and he has his first 2 games in the first 3, so he can get off to that really hot start. If he doesn't, he runs out of games quickly. So it must be a hot start for him, and it's easy for us to say that. But when that fixture list turns around, you've got to think that maybe your fortunes will turn around by having a slightly different schedule.
No surprise that Parry is the odds-on favourite now to top the Group B table. But would you say there's value, especially in Quanto, who was so consistent across his opening 3 matches? Yes, there was a dip in Game 4, but very, very impressive early on.
That's happened before with Chris. He has had that dodgy last game, but we can't ignore how he started last night. 2 averages in excess of 96. That's the kind of level that you can expect from a former weekly champion. He was superb in those first couple of games. He replicates that. I think he'll be through with a game to spare tonight.
Yeah, and when we have a little look at the bet builder for tonight's action, Darren Webster against Kurt Parry is the first selection. Parry to come through that one. He did so in a decider yesterday. Do you fancy him again? Because he did look really assured in all of his performances.
It's very hard to bet against Darren. That's the thing. He could easily turn it on for 3 or 4 legs straight from any position. So I think that one, get rid of it. Yeah. Simple as that. Tom Londsdale versus Kurt Parry, match check out. Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with that. Combination shots really were starting to come to the fore for Kurt Parry yesterday, and Londsdale with a little bit more urgency tonight, that need of a win. He might just be able to find something in the region of 101 to 121. As for the third one, Vanbazine, against Darren Webster, match winner for Darren. Yes, I can get behind that. Even though James has impressed us a lot tonight, the pressure is amped up more than any point from this week here tonight. I just wonder if our second place player in Group B will stand up to it.
Just a word on James then. We really have unearthed a Super Series talent this week, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think it's the start. You think about last year when he went to the qualifier for the Belgian Darts Open. He did well getting to the quarterfinals of that. I didn't know a great deal about him until earlier this week. But I think he can play better than he has this week. I think he's only just starting this journey, the story of him being the Phoenix in a part of his life that he sees as a bonus. It's an incredibly inspirational story. So maybe this is just the start for him. If he makes Saturday, well done. That will be an accomplishment in itself. However, if he doesn't, I'm convinced he's back.
Absolutely. He's looking, of course, to become the second Belgian player through to tomorrow night's finals night. Before we get the action underway, let's hear from him now. He's been chatting to Henry Deacon.
James, day 5 for yourself here at the MODUS Super Series. How have you found this week?
I like it very much. I'm like a fish in the water on that stage. I really like it.
Did you feel settled from the very first game this week?
Yeah, I came here with no expectations, and I want to win 1 leg or 1 match maximum, and that's what happened.
And so I suppose the position you find yourself in now, second in Group B overnight, a really good opportunity to qualify for Saturday night's final. You must be really pleased with your progress.
Yeah, but I don't think about this. I'm just going to play my game, throw those darts, and like at home. It's a really nice stage also.
So you mentioned the stage. Is it something that you've played a lot of in the past, or is this something that's quite brand new to you?
No, it's the second time. I thrown on the stage in the Open Bulls in Germany, semi-final, and that was the first time. Now it's the second time I do this.
Now you've had a little bit of a taste of the Super Series, and now you've won a few games of the Super Series. How much are you potentially eyeing up a Saturday night?
Yeah, I don't gonna think about it. I'm just gonna throw those darts and try to win a few games like yesterday.
I wish you all the very best, James. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Right then, 10 more matches to go in Group B. James Vanbazine has been a joy to watch so far this week. I think we've all enjoyed learning about him and his game. The Belgian was a 4-1 winner in this particular contest yesterday. Can he strengthen his chances of making finals night with another win over Londsdale here? Or will Londsdale be able to find the level that he produced during his last Super Series campaign? To get the session underway then, let's hand you over to Paul Nicholson and a very good evening to Henry Deacon.
Thank you, Abby. Very good evening, everybody, and welcome to your Friday night fling here at the MODUS Super Series, where the Phoenix is looking to awaken himself into Saturday night's final. He really has been a revelation this week, as this man was on his previous appearance here. Tom Londsdale, the 27-year-old from Bridgewater, and because of his exploits last time out, which included an average in excess of 111, we gave him the big build-up going into his second appearance. He finds himself bottom of the table, but the way that Group B occupies itself, Paul Nicholson, everybody's got a chance of making it through.
Yes, they do. We like it when it works this way because everybody turns up
James to throw first.
with a dream.
Game on.
That dream is to make Saturday night. Charlie is your referee for this Friday night over our 10 matches, which will take us through to around 1 a.m. We hope you can join us for the rest of the night. And this is
100.
a very big night for James Vanbazine, isn't it? He did extremely well to qualify for Group B. They're a very competitive Group A situation. But now it's time
93.
to join the three that are already in Saturday night. His countryman Roman, James Wilson, and Tom Sykes. Win this game, win his next game, and you feel you'd be very
140.
close. But this is one of those groups, Henry, where 8 points may not be guaranteed.
42.
You may just need to get to 10 just to be ultra sure.
And because Webster and Londsdale have both picked up 2 points apiece, everybody won a game last night. 10 points will be enough to send you through. But interesting, as far as Vanbazine is concerned, he had the lowest running total of all 5 players last
45.
night. But in terms of his doubling, 11 from 28. So he didn't get as many opportunities as perhaps the others did. Is that, in
99.
fact, he had less double attempts than everybody else in the field. But in terms of proficiency, there was nobody better.
I think that's got to be part of his game, considering the average standard that he's at.
43.
What we know about earlier in the week with Chris Mason is that he was running at around about 77, 78, and we thought, hang on a minute, he's going to need to find a bit more this week. He
139.
has. I'll give him so much credit for that. Now that he has found a few more percentage points in the scoring department, he has maintained a good level of finishing throughout the week.
133.
has become a more
Tommy
threatening
require
dart player as a result.
128.
It's Londsdale with the first chance of the break, and if he finds the treble, he'll fancy the bullseye. He says it's one of his favourite doubles on the
56.
board.
James, you require 40.
Goes for it a lot when he plays local league. Vanbazine for tops for 1-0 to get the opening rubber of the night.
Double 5.
Game shot on the
Yeah,
first
that'll get
leg.
it done.
James Vanbazine.
You can see from that celebration, that is something very similar to what we saw around
Second
24
leg, it's
hours
Tom
ago
to
when he
throw
played in the
first.
first game
Game
against
on.
Darren Webster. That was his best performance of the week, that game against Webby.
140.
95.87. And that was him reaching new heights. He has put in numbers like that before outside of this venue, but not on a massively regular basis. So to do it against someone as threatening as Darren, that tells us that he's ready
100.
to maybe punch a ticket to Saturday, but nobody's going to give him that. He grasp it. As for this young man,
180.
yesterday averaged 87.25, and that was only good enough to be on the bottom of the table. Welcome to this group, which really was quite magnificent. To give you some sort of indication as to how good it was, we had 27 maximums yesterday in this group,
140.
and they were 40% on doubles for the entire group. That was 5% ahead of the Group C action yesterday afternoon.
29.
Quite stunning.
Well, the story of Tom Lonsdale's night last night was, as you say, the 87.25 average. The scoring was okay, the scoring was fine, but it was 8 out of 36 on the doubles, which was the reason why he became unstuck. By far the lowest total. In fact, he had more darts at a double than anybody else in the group,
125.
but
Tommy
just
require
could not take advantage of
152.
opportunities.
96. James, you require 136.
He's hoping to present an opportunity at 1 apiece, but Vanbazine has different ideas. That would have been for the break and 2-0. Lonsdale should get a couple of darts at a double to level this match back up.
85. Tommy
good
requires
pressure.
56.
Find out how good he is on double 18.
Game shot on the second
Pinpoint.
leg. Tom Lonsdale.
Every game that involves the Belgian tonight will just
Third leg, it's
be
James to
a
throw
little
first.
bit
Game
more
on.
deliberate. Any game not involving James will be rapid. Because Parry, Londsdale, Webster and Quanto all like to get on with it. Whereas this guy is solitary
45.
when it comes to this kind of pace. But to his credit, not speeding up for anybody.
139.
Most 180s yesterday came from Kurt Parry. He got 7. But Londsdale got 6 alongside Darren Webster. It was James Vanbazine who got the least. But his game is not all about maximums
100.
and big setups. It's about steadiness. Usually that can win the day.
58.
Just a reminder, if you are joining us for the first time this week, we know half of our finalists that are going to make their way through to the final tomorrow night. Brian McMahon won through on Wednesday afternoon. And then earlier on today,
140.
James Wilson became only the second player in Super Series history to have won every single game in a Group C campaign. And he was joined alongside Tom Sykes, who edged out Connor Scott for that second position. Connor Scott, who hit a big fish.
It could be an odd man out when it comes to Saturday night. You think about it. We've got a Belgian. There could be another Belgian. We've got 2 Yorkshire players. We could have another Yorkshire player go in there if Quanto makes it. Kurt Parry, in his strong position, could be the odd man out as the only Welsh player.
140. Tommy requiring 170.
Had one of these a little bit earlier from Connor Scott.
82.
Don't
James
get one from
requires
Tom.
76.
James can rediscover the lead if he can find 76. That's not a good dart. Instinctively, he wanted to stay up top, but you can't. Got to be treble 11 or treble 19.
$60.
And so
Tommy
Londsdale
require
comes back
88.
for an opportunity to break. 18. And the bullseye. He loves the middle of the board.
58.
But that was a bit
James
wayward.
requires 16.
So far, so good in him keeping his darts in the board. He really struggled with that last night. Yeah, you're down there, James. You initially looked at double 4, I'm sure.
Game
There you
shot
go.
the
Nothing wrong with
third leg.
that.
James Vanbazine.
Every leg he gets, he is going to show that intensity tonight. You can just feel it. It must
Fourth
be
leg, it's Tom
something
to throw first. Game
about
on.
Belgian darts with that intensity. Maybe with the exception of someone like Dimitri Vandenberg, who's a bit more
58.
zen. You can tell how much he wants this, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
You have to say this has been a real good start to the night. These are the numbers so far. 92 plays 93. Scoring-wise, it's been a good
100.
game. Doubling-wise, it's been a good game as well.
Considering the worst running average of any player in yesterday's group
58.
was James at 85.88. That tells you something. Next in line was Tom, over 87. Webster, over 88. And both Quanto and Kurt Parry, over 91. Get into those numbers in more detail when they play it,
97.
because it will be Parry against Webster in game 2. That is a massive game for Darren Webster.
135.
He'll be keen, actually, for Tom Londsdale to win this game, I think. I think he wants things to bunch up. And then if he wins all 4 games tonight, he will sail through to the next phase on his debut week, just like James Wilson.
You get the sense that Kurt Parry's going to be everybody's friend in the practice room
30.
tonight when he plays.
I agree. As for winning the group or coming second or third, they're not bothered.
58.
The mission is to get to Saturday night, and then all you want to do is win 4 games. You might only have to win 3.
And of course, don't forget, you can get in contact with the action here
58.
at the MODUS Super Series on X. It is at MSS Darts. Do send in your tweets and your observations to us, and we will
140.
endeavour to answer some of your burning questions as Londsdale looks to burn his way through leg 4 into a level game once more at 2-2.
Wants to leave 76, but can't.
100. Tommy required 52.
This is very much. One hold follows another hold kind of game. But
16.
maybe
James, you require
that could be costly. You could
116.
see from Tom's face there that when he looked at the scoreboard, he thought, oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare. He dares. Tom can't look. Don't look, Tom.
96.
Now you can look.
Tommy required 36.
The heart would have been in the mouth. On the wire. Surely now
18.
goes inside.
James, you required 20.
Wow. Those first two darts, he couldn't have thrown them much better. Almost like he had somebody standing at the gate.
Game Sean the fourth.
That is a 3-1 lead for the
James
Belgian.
Vanbazine.
And things are looking very similar to that of Thursday night in game
Fifth
one.
leg, it's James to throw
He
first.
won that game 4-2
on.
against Webster. He might win by a greater margin because that break of throw gives him a chance to serve it out for 4-1. Win this leg, he goes to 6 points and a leg difference of +3. The bottom three in the table are all in minus.
140.
This could be an enormous game for the Phoenix's chance of joining Roman on Saturday night.
60.
Effectively, he's winning 4 points over Tom Londsdale, not just 2. Effectively, he's winning 4 points over the rest of the field because of that swing in terms of the legs difference.
You get into the second 50% of the group and you have to start saying to yourself, what points total can I get? Tom started the night thinking I can get to 10
44.
points. Win all my games, I get to double figures. That will get me through. Lose this one, he can just get to 8. And then you got to start
30.
thinking, is that enough? Lose 2 games, only getting to 6 in this group is not good news. Especially when Lonsdale's got the worst leg difference record at the minute of -6.
140.
Lose 4-1, go to -9. The word peril comes to mind.
100.
He made Saturday night on his debut. Has not played since, so he doesn't know what it feels like not to make Saturday night.
I just wonder whether this is beginning to look like a week where the weight of expectation has been
81.
looming quite heavily on certain people's shoulders. Think about Connor Scott and Alex Spellman this afternoon. Tom Lonsdale came into last night's action with a
55.
big reputation
James
to uphold.
required 96.
And Vanbazine, who's been free rolling since the first start of Monday morning, has got the opportunity to seal a 4-1 win that would put him on to 6 points, 4 clear of 4th and 5th, with a way superior legs difference. Double 18
Game,
to seal
shots,
it in style
and
with
the
a 14
match, James
darter.
Vanbazine.
A 4-1 victory, which could be oh so important. Tom Lonsdale almost sinks to his knees as he shakes the hand of his opponent. And the Belgian knows oh so well the potential significance that those 2 points hold. All wins are crucial. Some are more crucial than others. A 92.03 average, 4 out of 8 when it came to the finishing. And Vanbazine has put himself in a very good position. So 3 of the favourites to progress their way through find themselves in peril. Maybe only one will make it through. Darren Webster is in action after the break. He takes on Parry, yet to be defeated in Group B.
Right then, we could have our fourth player through to finals night after our next game. Kurt Parry from Pennabont looking to make it 5 wins from 5 in Group B. Really did look so assured, so comfortable with every aspect of his game last night. Came through a decider to pick up the points in this particular meeting. It was actually a really interesting battle between the two. So can Parry put in another cracking display to book his spot at finals night? Let's get back to Nico and Henry to find out.
Thank you very much, Abby. Another cracking dart shirt on show here tonight, and this one from the Demolition Man. That is maybe the best one he's ever created.
First
Love
leg,
it.
it's Darren to throw first. Game on.
But he's up against it tonight. He's going to have to build something, and he's got to be quick. He is still 4th in the table. Maybe, just maybe, that defeat for Tom Londsdale
100.
will give Darren the opportunity to create some distance between him and the basement. However,
58.
that's not his mission. He needs to make hay while the sun shines, so to speak, and get to the top
100.
3. He's trying to be the first person to beat Kurt Parry, isn't he, Henry?
Indeed, he is. Perfect record so far. 4 wins from 4 on
59.
Thursday night. Averaged 92.5 over the course of the 4 matches. 16 out of 35.
100.
It came to the doubling for the Welshman. And I must say that I was tipped off about Kurt before he played a game this
55.
week. 1 or 2 people that I know in Wales said, watch out when he plays at the Super Series in a couple of weeks' time,
100.
because he has been brimming under the surface in local competitions. And boy, the people that I've been speaking to, they know their darts.
140. Darren, you require
I think he's made
101.
some really good decisions over the last few months. How about this decision on tops?
Game
Oh,
shot on
that's
the
a much
first
better
leg.
start than last
Darren
night, isn't it?
Webster.
He went into his game with Vanbazine on debut, and he looked
Second
a
leg,
bit
it's Kurt to
cold.
throw first. Game on.
I don't mean literally. He just looked like he needed a game or two to get going. Well, it looks like he's a bit more
85.
prepared tonight. That was a superb 15 darter to start his evening. If he doesn't make Saturday night
61.
from this scenario, Darren's not going to be happy.
The perfect 15 as well. The 4 tons and the 101.
Why did I let that one slip? Was that a 5-ton
100.
game?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well done, Darren. The lesser seen 5-ton game from the man who averaged 88.42 yesterday
100.
and had 40% on the doubles as well. And usually that's a formula that will do very well.
138.
But this is one of those crazy groups where good statistics are sometimes not enough.
140.
I've got to say that the shirt of Darren Webster reminds me of a
119.
children's TV show, and it's kind of apt the way that Darren's night's got to go, because it is a case of Darren Webster, can
43.
he fix
Kurt, you
it
require 59.
from night 1?
Double top for Kurt.
Game shot on the second leg.
There we go. A good start
Kurt
on the doubles for
Parry.
Kurt as well. If he maintains what he did yesterday on that outer ring in the bullseye,
Third leg, it's Darren to throw first.
it won't be
Game
long
on.
before he's punching his Saturday night ticket. 46% yesterday. Such an improvement. A good 13% better than any
180.
day he's had this week. The moment we try to make a point during this game, somebody does something.
45.
That's how fast it is. Now, I was looking at some of the games yesterday. They were fast. The longest game
81.
in this group yesterday was 15 minutes flat. That's fast.
46.
But the fastest was Parry beating Quanto in game 2 in 6 minutes and 10 seconds. That's one of the fastest we've seen. the last year.
140.
Seen some legs last that long here.
Yeah, like that leg we saw from Alex Spellman earlier this week. New record
60.
for
Darren, you
longest
require
leg, 39
100.
darts.
Well, Parry is a
80.
long way off. Webster averaging 102. In terms of Parry's average, he's 20 points behind at 82.63. And in this leg,
140.
well, it's
Darren,
pretty
you
much a
require
writhe-off on
20.
this point onwards. 2 10s for Webster.
Game shot on
You
the
didn't
third
expect
leg.
to miss.
Darren
It's
Webster.
a 13 darter. The 2 legs he's won in the space of 28 so far. The Demolition Man
Fourth leg,
leads
it's Kurt to
2-1.
throw first. Game on.
The one thing Kurt's done brilliantly this week is he's picked up more wins than losses every single day.
60.
That always makes you feel good. You're going to lose the odd match when you play in a round-robin format, but if you're winning more than you're losing, you're doing extremely well.
135.
He'll want to keep that going tonight. He'll want to win 3 out of his 4 minimum.
140.
Maybe this is going to be the toughest game he'll have tonight against an opponent
100.
who is synonymously tenacious.
Where do you subscribe on the theorem that for the players that
100.
just dropped off the Pro Tour, this is almost a bonus hit at the Super Series and Series 6?
I think it's a good place to fall
42.
into. You've seen that from James Wilson today. Darren used the word freelance yesterday. He was a thing or
145.
two about being a freelance builder. Now he's a freelance dart player, but I think he'll expect to come here quite a lot this year. When you're playing darts like that,
180. Kurt, you require
expect some invites.
56.
He's averaging over 104 now.
46.
And he might
Darren, you
take a
require
2-leg
44.
lead. Motown,
Game shot on the fourth
4
leg.
tops for
Darren
3-1.
Webster.
The average is excellent. The doubles are perfect.
Fifth leg,
Kurt
it's Darren
Parry.
to throw first.
The
Game
only
on.
reason he's losing this game is because Darren's been that brilliant. He hasn't done much wrong.
83.
15, 13, 14 for the legs that the Demolition Man has accrued, and it is Demolition Man by name and seemingly Demolition Man
70.
by nature thus far.
I asked Chris Mason this question yesterday. Have you seen
100.
that movie Demolition Man?
I haven't, no.
Wesley Snipes, Sly Stallone, Sandra Bullock.
97.
It's a classic.
Maybe I'll watch it when I get home later.
63.
It's about 30 years old. It's timeless.
A little bit like that action of Kurt Parry. That is
140.
an action that is going to stand the test of time.
It's already been around for more than 10 years. So,
99.
yes, it will. I think Kurt's best years are ahead of him. Brilliant.
134. Darren, you require
Darren has a chance to win the
156.
match with his second ton-plus finish of the game.
140.
But
Kurt,
so
you
much
require
pressure
60.
on Kurt. Double top must go. And because it
40.
doesn't, you fancy
Darren, you
Webster
require
to
60.
bring down the hammer.
But he
Game
hasn't missed a
shot
dart
and
at
the
double
match,
in the
Darren
entirety of the
Webster.
match. Darren Webster with a demolition job on Kurt Parry to inflict a first defeat upon the Welshman. It's pure business for the man from Norfolk who just walked straight back down the Yoki, knowing that he has still got a lot of work to do. Ton plus average, 4 from 4 on the doubles, and the legs that he won in that game were in 15, 13, 14, 16. He does that throughout the duration of the night. He could do what Kurt Parry did yesterday and complete the card. Next up for us, a first look at Chris Quanto, who played superbly well yesterday. He takes on Tom Londsdale, who's looking to get his first win of the night.
Well, we spoke at the top of the show about Chris Quantock's level in his first 3 games last night. Consistently in the mid-90s, will probably be scratching his head wondering how he only picked up 2 wins, really. Can he make the perfect start tonight against Londsdale, who could quickly run out of time in Group B if he's defeated again in this contest? Went down 4-1 to Vanbazine in his opener, averaged some 10 points fewer than his opponent in that one. What can he produce here? Let's find out in the company of Henry Deacon and Paul Nicholson.
Thanks, Abby. Time to see what Quanny's got in the locker. He has to wait until game 3 to get going, but he hasn't had long to wait because our first 2 matches have only taken 5 legs. And they've both been fairly quick games. Tom Londsdale will be devastated that he couldn't start the night with a win. But from here and from 5th position in the table, it's got to be good, or it's bye-bye back to Bridgewater. Quanto is
58.
currently sitting in 4th position, but a win in this match would put Webster back outside into 4th. There might be a lot of toing and froing between now and the early hours of Saturday.
I feel with Chris Quantock, the end of last year, we saw him brimming amidst the surface. He qualified for a Champions Week. But 2024 could be a Quantock 2.0 year.
140.
As he threatened the 9 for a second. He came close to picking up his tour card at Q School. And I get the sense here at the Super Series, he could be the type of player that will continually threaten.
We all know what Chris did the first time he had a tour card. I played him when we went to a European Tour event in Gibraltar. We had a cracking 11-leg match.
140.
Big fan of Chris. I think he's a super talent. But sometimes you need to take a few steps back to realise just how good you can be. And over the last few years, he's taken that step back.
67.
Maybe he's more ready now to be the player that he wants to be than he was before. And everybody should take notice of the fact that he still has the talent that we all knew he had originally. Look at that for a start. 13-dart break. And Londsdale, no matter where he looks in this group, he's being pummeled. Through no fault of his own. He's just running in to grenades that are exploding around him.
Tom Londsdale must feel like a Mentos being put into a Coca-Cola bottle.
81.
Every time he dips his toe into the water, everything seems to explode in front of him.
It's a sign of respect because they know how good Tom is.
60.
They want to get that big start against him and put him under pressure. This is what Phil Taylor used to talk about all the time. I'm not going to do a Stoke accent because that's very disrespectful. And for one thing, I actually can't do one. But he always used to talk about putting them under pressure, putting them under pressure. This is what he was talking about. Get out the traps, get that big leg in, break immediately. And that's why Phil used to give you the throw at the start of a match, because if he breaks you in leg 1, you're already behind. You're already under pressure.
Be no good in a format where the throw's predetermined.
Kind of pointless when you've got mugs away as well, which we used to play in the World Cup.
140. Christian require 164.
No. Just for a second, I thought he was going to have cracking another big finish. Yesterday, he got himself a 111 against Darren Webster.
Tom, you require 53.
It proved to be the only game where we saw a ton-plus finish.
Game shot on the second leg.
That was much needed from Tom. Double 18 does cooperate on that occasion, because in that first match against Vanbazine, how many times did he hit the wire on the outside? Too many.
And credit has to go where credit's due as well, as far as Londsdale is concerned, as he has another of his trademark bounce-outs out the board. Quantock was steaming away with the match, but then he just kept him at bay in leg 2, kept him honest, gets the break back in 14.
140.
It could have been so easy to have felt that first leg was a kick in the solar plexus too many.
Is Quanny on social media?
100.
I think very loosely. I think he delves into a bit of Twitter, but nothing more than a little bit of a dabble in the water every now and then.
Well, surely, with his name, if he's on a certain platform, he's got to be Chris Quan TikTok. Surely.
95.
It's an open goal.
$100.
Can't be many dart players that have got a Q in their name as well. Especially with the
$140.
first letter.
I think you'll like his name on Twitter because it's at Quanny Jr. 180.
Ah, I like it. That's respectful.
$140. Tom, you require 86.
Big time shot this.
Game
He's
shot
not
on the
done
third
yet.
leg. Tom Londsdale.
What a response after losing the first leg. What a great game this is. 4.5 minutes for 3 legs.
Fourth leg, it's Chris to
Fast,
throw
fast
first.
stuff. They had 6 legs in their game yesterday, and it only took 10 minutes.
66.
Well, John Part says a good game is dictated by the fact that legs are won in no less than no more than 15 darts. Well, so far in this game,
134.
13, followed by a pair of 14s. And the standard continues to go up. Quanto with the
180.
game's first max. These are the numbers. Every single game, we look up at the stats board
135.
that are next to the monitor that we have in the commentary box. We look at each other and just marvel over them.
Yeah, these numbers
60.
are good. They are following exactly what we saw yesterday from this bunch. And they all need every bit of credit we can throw at them because
140.
I enjoyed last night's Group B more than most groups I've ever covered. And I expected it to happen.
99.
Because these
Tommy
guys
requiring
really are
92.
a credit to the sport. Doesn't get it this time. Well,
20.
that was silly,
Christian
Tom, wasn't it?
requiring 96.
Are you going to pay for that? Will he pay for it?
Game shot
Well,
on the
it didn't
fourth
make any
leg.
difference
Chris Quanto.
that he went for the second double, but that was a bad habit from Tom. I don't advocate him doing that with dart
Fifth leg,
3,
it's Tom to
but you've
throw
got to give
first.
Quanny credit. He came back and he took the shot when the goal was open. That was not an easy out, that 96. He took it the
58.
hard way.
But isn't that everything about Chris Quantock's fibre and makeup? He's not someone that will
100.
get embroiled into the flashy side of the game. He's like a German car. He is built upon efficiency.
43.
Maybe the first time Quanny's ever been likened to a German car. I thought you were going to say his left-hand drive.
100.
He'd be good at that left-handed darts challenge, wouldn't he?
50.
Be better than most of us. If you haven't seen the left-handed darts challenge that was
58.
filmed a little bit earlier this week, Lee Budgeon was rather good at it, wasn't he?
Almost an opportunity at your
140.
favourite 6-dart playing the sport.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too carried away there. Doesn't happen very often here at the MODUS Super Series.
140.
It's happened twice here, hasn't it, at Portsmouth? Tim McEwen definitely got one.
58.
Well, he
Christian
may
Mackay,
threaten a leg
103.
above 15 if neither the player can take ton-topping finishes. Quantock first go at the 103 or look at the treble 17s. Not going to happen this time. And so Londsdale, 152, and he's behind the 8 ball in terms of throwing this
48.
leg.
Tommy required 152.
Didn't have to go 60 there. There are options on 152. He could have gone 17s, 19s,
60.
or 20s.
Christian required 55.
This is for another break of throw.
35.
Oh no.
Tommy
Hates
required
that last
92.
dart. It's 92 again. And does get a shot at tops.
52. Christian
This game
required
has had
20.
an awful lot of brilliance, but now it's got drama because of misses. Got to go for it, Chris.
No score. Tommy required 40.
When we talk about breaks that feel like holds, this would be a hole that'll feel like a break for Tom Lonsdale.
Game
And he
shot on the
just
fifth leg.
about sneaks
Tom
the double
Londsdale.
5 in the corner. He just about puts his nose in front. And Quantock,
Sixth leg, it's
who
Chris
had
to
the
throw
opportunity
first.
to throw for the match in this leg, is throwing to stay in it.
Bit of a weird game, this one.
26.
Lonsdale wins. We have 3 people on 4 points vying for the top 3.
59.
And also, Vanbazine is only 2 points ahead. And at this point, if Lonsdale wins,
139.
Parry isn't safe yet. He still needs that win. He's got Vanbazine next.
96.
This is one of the most difficult Group B situations to call that I can remember.
100.
It makes for a very interesting 7 games coming up, that's for sure.
96.
Not going to leave himself on 96 or better, which is exactly what he wanted to do.
45.
Not even on a finish. 250 is possible.
And this would be music to
140.
the ears of both Kurt Parry and James Vanbazine, who play in our next game after the break. Parry can seal it with a win.
60.
Vanbazine
Tommy
with
requiring
a win. It'd be
110.
8-8-4-4-4 in the group if Londsdale can take out the 110 to complete the job.
Quanto's really slowed down
86. Christian requiring 131.
with his scoring productivity. He can't save it with the approach or indeed the out.
97.
He
Tommy
needs
requiring
Lonsdale
24.
to miss match darts. It's a huge miss. Does he recover?
20.
He doesn't.
Christian requiring 34.
We just don't know how costly they could be. 88.
18. Tommy requiring 4.
Things have changed.
A game marked
Game,
by its
shot,
brilliance at the
and the
start
match.
has
Tom
been
Londsdale.
won by missed opportunities in the end. And Tom Londsdale keeps himself in the mix and means that the race for 3rd spot in this group is going to be a grandstand finale. Chris Quanto again providing brilliance, but yet cannot yield the results for it. Londsdale, with his 2nd win of the group, means that 3 players are on 4 points. And coming up next, Kurt Parry can guarantee his place through. James Vanbazine with a victory in this one would virtually mean the pair would make it into Saturday night's final. It'd be a tough task for 2 to dislodge them. We'll find out what happens in that one when we return next.
So, game number 4 of the night and Kurt Parry's second opportunity to book his spot at finals night. Didn't do a great deal wrong in his opener, averaged in excess of 90, but Darren Webster was faultless. Parry the 4-2 winner when these two met last night. Vanbazine was 2 out of 2 on the doubles, but the Welshman just allowed himself more chances at the back end of legs. Can Parry get the job done here then? Let's get back to our commentary team to find out.
Thank you very much, Abby. And so Kurt Parry can seal his place through to tomorrow night's final. If he doesn't, well, James Vanbazine is going to give him a tap on the shoulder, a little bit like the series finale of The Traitors, which took place tonight.
The Traitors? Don't know anything about it.
The most popular
First leg,
TV
it's
show
Kurt to
in
throw
the UK
first.
right now.
Game on.
Can't be. I don't know anything about it. I'm too busy looking at the MODUS Super Series. I know what you're talking about. I'm only pulling your leg. There are no traitors here. All honest dark players looking for the same
135.
thing. I'm with Abby. Kurt didn't do a great deal wrong in that first game. It was just the brilliance of Webster that usurped the effort of Kurt. However, I've noticed
26.
something about what Kurt did yesterday. 92.47 the average for 4 games at the start of
100.
Group B. If you go back to Tuesday, when he had 5 games in Group A, he averaged 92.48. So 1/100th of a point different between the two.
121.
I think we're starting to find Kurt Parry's range when he has 4 or 5 games together. And throughout this week,
58.
a lot of really good stuff in that zone.
And if he plays at this level over the course of 2024, he's going to win more events. Remember, he is the reigning
100.
champion of champion. This is how he got his invite this time around, because the winner of that competition at the Depot in Cardiff wins their slot here, and a
44.
competition which will reopen up for regional qualifications. As soon as we know all the information on that, we will bring it to you here at the Super Series.
An awful lot of money as well winning that one. Just like it is for winning this week. It can make an awful lot of difference for someone like Kurt,
140.
who's got kids to
Kurt
feed,
Require 164.
take a bit of financial pressure off his family situation. It could even give him further opportunities to
58.
go out and win
James
more
Require
money for him and his family.
114.
Because that's what he wants to do. Genuinely one of the nicest people you could ever meet. Never changed one bit in 10 years. You're still thoroughly honest, hard-working and talented. James is on tops here, with a very vibrant green flight in the way.
94. Kurt, you require
The
106.
flights that almost look like cat's eyes, and you may have to use up one of his lies and hope that Parry doesn't take out the 106. The double 16
90.
just goes
James
inside.
required 20.
And so Vanbazine gets another go at double 10 for the break.
Doubles aren't cooperating at the same sort of level as last night. Kurt is still looking for that sharpness that he really wants.
No score.
James gives him a
Kurt, you
freebie.
require 16. Game shot on the first
Kurt
leg.
does exactly the
Kurt
right thing,
Parry.
unwrapping the present immediately.
So 1-0 Parry leads.
Second leg, it's James to throw first.
3 more away
Game on.
from a spot in the final tomorrow night, where if he plays to the levels that he's shown this week, on most weeks we'd say he'd be the favourite to win, but there's a jammy Dodger-sized equation that's going to possibly tell
100.
otherwise.
I didn't know a jammy dodger was a unit of measurement. That's good, I like that. A jammy dodger sized equation.
96.
Anybody got Sheldon Cooper on the old speed dial? That's brilliant, Henry. I never knew biscuits could be a unit of measurement. Well, how far's he away from the hole on that green? He's about 18 bourbons.
100. 180.
But I tell you what, he could have fitted them on a polo mint.
45.
Or possibly in a very, very small Belgian waffle.
Someone say we've been doing that for a while now.
What, waffling? Been doing it all week.
Who's going to be the custard cream of the crop? Okay, I'll stop right there.
140.
You'll come up with another one, I know you will. Well, Kurt is not happy in this game. Something's not right.
85. James, you require 81.
He's looked fairly negative throughout this game. Something obviously doesn't feel like it should. When you see him on 275 after 9 with his opponent already on a double, the warning sign.
Just wanted to double check.
69.
Double 12 just moves inside. And the biggest thing is, it wasn't as if there was any signs in the first game that this was about to happen. Despite Darren Webster running away with the game, he still averaged 91 and a half.
12.
All is not lost. Still 1-0 up. For now. Trapdoor time.
Game shot on the second
That was an
leg.
aggressive play when you
James
consider that
Vanbazine.
Kurt is on 175 there. A lot of people might have thought, you know
Third
what?
leg, it's Kurt to throw first. Game on.
I'll either leave double 2 or I will go back to double 6 next time. He just said, I'll take it immediately. That was much better from Kurt.
140.
Lovely rhythm, good line, nice attacking first start. Who's your pick to win this week then? It's an easier question to answer on a Friday night, because you've already got 3 players in Saturday
140.
night, and 3 will come from this 5. So who's your pick to be the Week 10 champion?
Not just because he won every single game in the group, it's the fact
140.
that he has won games in every single manner of ways. He has blitzed opponents off the board. He has come back off the canvas. That is the key to winning weeks at the Super Series. And I just think James Wilson might just be built for this competition. And I think he walks home with it. But don't discredit Brian McMahon, because one thing he could do is he
85.
could almost do something like Scott Taylor did, where he could quietly go under the surface, because we're talking about the likes of James Wilson, because we're talking about the likes of Kurt Parry. And when you win Group A, people may
54.
not always talk about you, but he could pull out a big ton-topping performance at any particular point in time.
There's only one person left in this week who has won a PDC title.
60. Kurt, you require
And
167.
that's Darren Webster. But then again, Rahman and James
78.
Wilson have won multiple WDF titles. It's that ability in your mind that you've already won before. I think that's going to be important. Really, really do think that.
Credit has to go here where credit's due, because Parry's just flicked a switch in this third leg. He
80.
really
Kurt,
struggled
you
at
require 89.
the opening embers of this game, but has the opportunity on double 16 to establish a lead at 2-1.
57.
And
James, you
unless
require
Vanbazine can take out the
136.
136, he'll come back for 3 more.
Difficult shot. 2 routes usually used, 60s or 48s. That's no good.
$83.
Just asks the
Kurt, you
question
require 32.
of Parry now with 3 darts in hand. Earlier in the week, this was a weakness.
No
It's
score.
happening again.
James, you require 53.
He is puzzled. And that last dart 60 from James makes this shot very, very gettable. Is that the old eyebrows of affirmation, doesn't he? Yep, that's good.
33.
That's not.
Kurt, you
Both
require
players in this
32.
game have missed a handful of doubles. Parry 1 from 7. Vanbazine 1 from 10. 2 16s for 2-1 lead. He can't let another handful pass
No
him
score.
by.
James, you require
The
20.
shake of the head says all you need to know. The break chance is on.
At no point this week has there been a time where Kurt Parry has been shaking his head that much.
Game shot on the third leg.
James takes the
James
leg.
Vanbazine.
He'll be wondering how. Every now and again, someone's going to give you
Fourth
a
leg,
gift.
it's James to throw first. Game on.
Kurt is livid. And if I were in his shoes, those very, very snazzy shoes, I'd feel exactly the same.
Tell you one thing for a fact, I don't think anybody in that practice room this evening would have thought that if they
60.
needed a 7th visit to break Kurt Parry tonight, they would get the opportunity to do that.
The only bright side, if Kurt was to lose this game,
125.
is that Vanbazine would equalise him on points, and it'd still be a 4-point cushion to the rest. But the last thing you want to do, and I say this because I have actually spoken to Jared Cole in the last 24
125.
hours about this situation that he was in when he was here last. He won all of his games on Thursday,
140.
and he was very much wanting that 5th win of the group. And he did qualify for Saturday night, but the fact that he didn't win on the Friday damaged his chances of playing well on the Saturday. I see similarities with what I see
100.
from Kurt tonight. Maybe there's just too much pressure in getting that 5th win just to book your place.
94.
Because the problem here at the Super Series is there's too many sharks in the water. So it's not just about qualifying, it's how you qualify. And if they can smell a weakness, they will take full advantage of it. The rest of the field will jump on it.
$44. Kurt, you require
Might have to make up a saying for that.
142.
If there are too many sharks in the water and you need to get rid of the sharks, just drop a bomb in the water.
47.
I'm not sure Peter would approve of that message.
Peter's a snake, isn't he? Not a shark. You know which dart player was called the Shark? Get this, I'll be very impressed.
Closest I can think of is Jaws. That's the closest I can think of.
32.
Yours doesn't count.
Kurt, you require 95.
Let's see what Parry can do on this 95. Treble 19 leads double 19. Decisions, decisions. He looked like he wanted to split. And now he is absolutely bamboozled. He
Game shot on
decides
the
to go
fourth
straight for it.
leg.
He
Kurt
gets it
Parry.
anyway. It didn't really matter. A 14 darter, a break back, level game, 2-2.
5th leg, it's Kurt to throw first. Game on.
This game is weird. The Shark? Come on. Do your homework, Deacon.
58.
My pal Graham Stoddart. The person who was the first to play a lady at the PDC World Championship when he played Gail King. Lost the first set, ended up winning 3-1.
55.
One of the biggest characters in PDC history. And he had his own sayings. So when you see something that
97.
is a bit questionable and it turns out all right, we quote Stoddart all the time and we say, sound as a fish cake. True story. Ask Colin Lloyd if you ever see him. Just say sound as a fish cake and say, Graham Stoddart, there you go.
85.
Haven't seen you in a while, Graham. Hope you're well.
Hopefully you sound like a fish
100.
cake.
Taught me an awful lot, did Graham. One of the godfathers of Northumbrian and Northeast darts. This has been a bit of a strange game. Littered with missed darts at double.
85.
There we go, 2 hits each. But you don't want to go into double figures. And that is something that Kurt Parry did twice yesterday, but only just.
134.
Second game, he was 4 from 11. Fourth game, 4 from 10. That's more than fine. But when you start going into 12, 13, 14 darts at a double, you know you've been missing too many.
Well, this match feels like an
140.
outlier from what
Kurt,
we've
require
seen so far this
112.
evening. But it's one that could be so significant. This 112
72.
could have been the
James
moment
require
that set
136.
the wheel was in motion in confirming Kurt's spot through to tomorrow night's final.
His leg difference is still incredibly healthy at +7 before this game started. Tighter this game is, even if he loses it, it's the end of the world.
96.
But he wants
Kurt,
to
you
get it
require
won.
40.
So he can open his shoulders in the last half of
Game
tonight.
shot on the 5th leg.
That's a
Kurt
16 dart leg.
Parry.
That's better.
You get the
Sixth leg, it's
sense of
James to
Kurt
throw
right now
first.
that
Game
he's a
on.
player that just wants to get the job done, get off stage, and just look ahead to the next one. Not even dwell upon this performance.
Kurt Parry did once make the semi-finals of the World Youth Championship.
121.
Keegan Brown won. Little teaser for you, Henry. Do you know how many World Youth Champions have played in the MODUS Super Series?
World Youth Champions.
100.
Aaron Monk won the first one. Beat James Hubbard. No, beat Michael Van Gerwen. James Hubbard played at home.
Yeah, that's 2.
That was 11. That was 12. 13, Michael Smith beat
60.
Ricky Evans. 14, Keegan Brown beat Rowby John Rodriguez. 2015. Was that the first year they moved to Minehead, 2015?
135.
I'm the one asking the questions here.
We've got a couple due. I know that.
Yeah, that was my segue. Can't believe you missed the other one. Certain Luke Littler.
55.
Yeah, good point. Well made.
I didn't think he'd get Hubbard. Fair play. He did play from home.
101.
And Aaron Monk has played in every venue that we've ever had. Can't play here this year because he's still on tour. But yes, we will be seeing former World Youth Champions Bradley Brooks and Ted Everts over the next couple of weeks. I am fascinated to see those two young men.
Two players
86.
that will be using 2024 as an absolute rebuild.
141.
Great darts from Kurt. He's on double 12. Before we get into that shot, I think the biggest question before Ted Everts comes here is, will he be bringing any chocolates? Because he's the best chocolate maker on the tour. And they are
60.
wonderful.
Kurt, you
So,
required 24.
I have warned you. Kurt Parry is looking at 6s.
Game shot.
And that
and the
is a
match.
dart
Kurt
that puts him
Parry.
into Saturday. As for Vanbazine, he's still got an exceptionally good chance of making it himself. That was an attritional battle and maybe a sign of the pressure that was under those two gentlemen, but that still was a decent performance. 87.47 the average, the high out of 95. James almost reverting to type from earlier in the week, but he's still on 6 points. But it's Kurt Parry who makes it to 10, and he puts his name in the hat for Saturday with 2 games to spare. Our 5th game will be Quanto against Webster, and after what Darren did earlier, we can't wait to see him play again.
Chris Quantock and Darren Webster are back in action next, and the Demolition Man will really be fancying his chances after his opening display this evening. You feel he needed that to really settle and feel at home on that Super Series stage. A ton plus average and was 4 out of 4 on the outer ring. Webster's feeling serene, and in contrast, Quantock will be kicking himself, having squandered the opportunity to take his last match to a decider. Can he recover quickly? He's certainly going to need to. Let's get back to our commentary team to find out.
Thank you very much, Abby. And you just get the sense now that we're beginning to
First leg,
enter
it's
must-win
Chris to throw
territory.
first.
The
Game
likes
on.
of Chris Quantock and Tom Londsdale. Yes, the bottom three are all on 4 points. But what is like an extra point for Dan Webster is the fact that he is in plus
140.
territory in terms of the legs difference. +1 by way of the comparison of -4 and -7 for Quantock and Londsdale,
81.
respectively. A win for Webster not just put him ahead in terms of points, but would extenuate that advantage in terms of the legs difference bracket.
140.
I think the biggest thing for Darren now is that the schedule of games that he's got really works in his favour.
140.
He's in an attacking position and playing well. He can not only get points for himself, but deprive every person he plays
93.
from here points to the end. He plays Quantock, then he plays Londsdale,
100.
and he plays
Christian
Vanbazine
McCoy,
last.
128.
He's in 4-pointers to the death.
98.
The fact that he's already beaten Parry, he's got to do his confidence the world of good. He's already through.
Well, like game one, Quantock's got
100.
off to a
Christian
quick
McCoy,
start.
30.
Double 15 to wrap up the first leg in 5 visits. What can he see of that? Has to move across.
Game
And
shot on the
sneaks
first
it
leg.
into the
Chris
bottom corner.
Quanto.
1-0 Quantock. He got off to a fast start against Tom Lonsdale. The
Second
first
leg,
4
it's Darren to
legs were
throw
all won in
first. Game on.
15 or less. Before then a cagey leg 5 where he missed a multitude of doubles. Swung the game in the favour of the
123.
Bridgewater boy.
We were talking in the previous match about how we've had some
81.
World Youth finalists play at the MODUS Super Series. We've had a multitude of World Youth finalists here as well,
97.
including finalist from the very last event, Jan van Veen. Did get himself
60.
a win this evening at the Dutch Darts Masters. If you weren't watching the darts from Den Bosch earlier
60.
tonight, the results were Danny Knopp at 6, Nathan Aspinall 2. Said goodbye to Peter Wright. He lost to Kevin Dutz in his World Series debut. Edwin Price
64.
beat Dimitri Vandenberg, the defending champion. Van Veen beat Michael Smith, last year's world champion. Raymond van Barneveld somehow
43.
beat Rob Cross. I still haven't got my head around that one. Luke Littler made short work of Dirk van Dijvenbode, beating him 6-2.
140.
And then the end of the night, Humphreys beat Watermina 6-0, and Van Gerwen destroyed his best friend 6-1, Vincent van der Voort.
138. Christian McCoy, 156.
Well, the 156 isn't going to go, and so Webster will return for tops to level this game up at 1
Darren
apiece.
McCoy, 40. Game shot
These
on
two
the
going
second
at a
leg.
real fair
Darren
pace.
Webster.
Less than 3 minutes to get the first 2 legs done.
Yeah, this is good. 90 seconds is a
Third
really
leg,
good
it's Chris to
barometer
throw
for a quick
first.
game.
Game on.
Every leg going around 90 seconds is quick.
41.
It suits them as well. When have you ever heard a quick player say, I actually like to play slower players?
60.
They don't. I did laugh at Q School though. I've known Yellow Class in a very
96.
long time, and I know that he hates playing slow players. So when he drew against Liam Mendel Lawrence, I just had to think, ooh,
44.
he's not going to like that. Liam won.
Tortoise and Hare springs to mind.
83.
Worse than that. Bugatti Veyron versus a sloth.
81.
However, is the cynic in me saying that sometimes you could be drawn into the quicker pace of the opponent and sometimes it can get stupidly quick, erratically
100.
quick?
Yes, it can. And games in the past have proven that. Ricky Evans is noted for being rapid.
81.
However, sometimes when he's up against someone who is also quick, he can be drawn into a quicker rhythm and it puts him off.
91.
I don't think these two right here are uncomfortable. I think they're very comfortable with this pace and are not getting too swift.
100. Christian required 90.
Everything about this game's been steady so far. The average is 90 and 89. The doubling for Webster, 1 out of 1, 1 out of 3 for Quanto. Bullseye
65.
for Quanny,
Darren, you
and that would have been to have won it in
135.
6 visits, which is kind of par for the course for this competition. Webster could get it done in 6 visits, but he needed the treble and the subsequent bullseye on the back.
70. Christian required 25.
2 hits.
Game shot
Leg
the
to
third
Chris.
leg. Chris Quanto.
2-1 up. The closer this is, the better it is for
Fourth leg,
Darren.
it's Darren to throw first. Game on.
In the leg difference column anyway. As far as the points are concerned,
100.
that is the primary goal.
Is Chris Quanto in this weird territory that even though he's throwing first
85.
in a match, he still needs to kind of find a break because of the legs differential?
I think we're still at the point where just getting the win is
100.
paramount. I think yesterday it was tricky for Chris because he was finished by game 8. He was watching other people
140.
getting points when he was already back in his accommodation. Whereas tonight, he'll be finishing in game 9,
100.
and he will see Tom Lonsdale finish before him. So he will have a bit more information as to what he
42.
will have to do in his final 2 matches against Vanbazine and Kurt Parry. But he already knows that when he plays Kurt Parry,
130.
that game will be all about him. It will be nothing to do with Kurt.
96. Darren, you require 71.
To tie this game up, double 16. 2 8s isn't
55.
found.
Christian require
This
138.
could well be a turning point.
He goes for the 2023 138 instead of the 1983 version.
42. Darren, you require 60.
Don't know what I was talking about there. You're not a
Game
darts
shot
fan.
on the fourth leg. Darren Webster.
It's 2-2.
That nearly was a Hogan type double
Fifth
8
leg, it's
attempt from
Chris to
Webster.
throw
Just
first.
sneaks in the corner there. Just having a look ahead at tonight and
100.
what could happen a bit later on. Chris Kontok wins this game. He
85.
moves on to 6 points. His next game's against James Vanbazine. Wins that one. Well, Kontok moves himself
59.
on to 8 points. Vanbazine is on 6 points. The last game of the night is between Webster and Vanbazine. There could be a situation where if Webster
140.
won that particular matchup, he could see the Belgium eliminated.
Oh, he's not safe. And he knows it.
60.
That's what makes that first win of the night for
43.
James incredibly important. Had he lost that game against Londsdale, he'd already be in trouble.
58.
Don't get me wrong, I love a Group A situation. I was really enthralled by Group C over the last couple of days. But give me Group B any day.
97.
This is cutthroat stuff ahead of Saturday night. And more often than not, it is Group B that delivers the quality
40.
and
Darren, you
attention
require
more than any other group.
136.
Stay there.
78.
We've still not spoken about Tom Lonsdale. Yes, he's still in the equation, but it feels like he's hanging on to a cliff edge by his
81.
fingernails.
Darren, you
Yeah,
require
I do get the feeling he's
58.
got to win his last 2 matches. Ends for Darren.
44.
That was a real
Christian
Billy
require 103.
Idle one, that one. That was a real wild one.
This would feel like a steal. This would be a right old snatch. Double 16 for Quantok.
71. Darren, you require
And that would have
14.
made Darren Webster physically sick if that went.
Doing here, double 1.
No score.
No,
Christian
Darren,
required
no.
32.
I admire the courage of leaving the madhouse with that 1 dart left. It just didn't pay off. It was double 4. It's had chances.
28.
Look at the amount of darts
Darren,
that
you
have been
require
thrown in this
40.
leg. Quanto will be
Game shot on the fifth
beside
leg.
himself that he's
Darren
lost that
Webster.
leg. I do not blame him for flailing the arms there. That's one of those legs
Sixth
that
leg, it's Darren
you want to
throw
take and
first.
put it in the
Game
bin.
on.
Mind of a dart player.
83.
Sometimes it's hard to read these players. Sometimes it's very easy. You don't have to be a genius to know that when you've had 8 visits and you don't win the
60.
leg, you won't be happy.
And crucially as well, Webster has the
100.
darts for the match.
$59.
He made that look so simple, didn't he?
180.
So simple. First 180 of the game
100.
He's
Darren,
taken
you
full
require
advantage
138.
of that previous leg. He has sprinted forward and will have a chance
98.
to get his second win of the night. Get himself into second position in the table.
It's like a boxer. The
79.
last thing you
Darren,
forget what to
require
do is to
40.
punch. But Darren Webster, who knows how to win,
Game shot.
is
and the match.
rediscovering that
Darren
winning
Webster.
touch here at the MODUS Super Series. He gets the better of Chris Quanto by 4 legs to 2. And it just looks like he is building up ahead of stride. There's a demolition man. 87.5 the average, 4 out of 11 when it came to the doubling. And once again, in leg 5 of a match, Chris Quanto has had opportunities to go 3-2 up, and he has failed to take those chances. And again, he finds himself on the wrong end of the scoreline. Well, we've reached the halfway point of our evening's action. Webster's beaten Quanto 4-2. But let me return, Tom Londsdale, well, he can move himself on to 6 points if he can get the better of Kurt Parry in the book-ending battle.
Hello and welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Darren Webster has made it 2 wins from 2 on the second night of Group B action. After the manner in which he won his opening game, Paul Nicholson, it felt like he might start to motor.
Yeah, he looks full of confidence and readiness tonight. I think sometimes for Darren, over the last couple of years, in the PDC tournaments that he's played in, he hasn't had good starts and hasn't had the opportunity to build up a head of steam. But this format really gives the opportunity to do that. This was the start of his night. It was a 5-ton game, starting with a 101 checkout. He didn't get a ton plus checkout yesterday, so starting off on that footing has really given him a boost.
Yeah, he was 4 out of 4 on the outer ring in that one as well. As for Chris Quanto, he is going to be tamping, fuming, raging, isn't he? Because in his opening match, had the opportunity to take it to a decider, squandered more opportunities in that match as well. Do you see him recovering mentally in his next match?
I think he's got the capability of doing so, but when there are certain legs that we've seen tonight, particularly one in that previous game where he's thrown 24 darts and not completed it, and he has to watch on as Darren steals it away, that's hard to take as a dart player, but his response has got to be immediate. He's got 2 games left to get it done. Things are getting very tight.
Kurt Parry is our first player through to finals night from Group B. It's quite remarkable, though. Played really well in his opening game and lost. A dip in performance level in his second match against James Vanbazine, but got over the line, did what he needed to. But you could see the frustration etched on his face. The pace of that game really started to get to him.
Yeah, I think it did a little bit, and it's created a little bit of indecision as well. And now that he's got the job done, you saw in that clip there that he puffed the cheeks out. I think it was more relief than anything else, because he didn't want to find himself in a situation where he had to win one of his last 2. Now he doesn't have to. He'll still want to top the group and find a really good position of strength going into Saturday. But now that the job is done, the pressure will be lifted.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did actually say to me in here last night that he's still trying to find a way when he's not able to get into his rhythm and settle into a particular rhythm, then he is still trying to find the way to make it through that. So good to see him coming through that when we can get confirmation of the league stand-ins and that Kurt Parry is through to Saturday's finals night. Who, though, is going to join him? Darren Webster and James Vanbazine are in pole position at the moment. Tom Londsdale, what have you made of his night so far?
I just don't think he's played at his consistent best over the last couple of days. The leg difference tells you a story. And when you look at Quanto, he's played some good darts at times, but he still finds himself only 1 leg in front of Londsdale. There's 7 legs between number 3 and number 4 in the table. That might have such a big bearing on who goes through.
For James Vanbazine, he's still got Quanto and Webster to play. But one thing I've noticed about him over the course of his Group A and B campaigns, you never know what's going on in a match. He's always so in control of his emotions.
Yeah, I think that's just the kind of person he is. Just because you're a newbie here, it doesn't mean that you're not ready for pressure situations. Come on, let's face facts. The guy's been through situations in his life a lot more pressure filled than this.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to have that perspective and take it into whatever you do.
Absolutely. We're going to take a little break from this week's action and focus on week 11 because we have another cracking lineup for you. Haruki Muramatsu is one name that really stands out to me. I am so excited to see him in Group A action. Of course, we've seen him here before. He was in Bahrain last week, narrowly missed out to Peter Wright, lost out to Scott Williams at the Worlds as well. And we all know what he went on to do on the Ali Pali stage. How excited are you to see him back here?
I'm a big fan of Japanese darts. I think it's a huge area for us to find other players. Haruki and Makuru have done great things in previous weeks to try and put Japanese darts on the map here. I think we need to invite more people from that area of the world, and they've just got to make themselves known to us. Tomoyo Goto was fantastic at the World Championship. I'd love to see him here. He was fabulous. But he's one of the most experienced dart players from Japan. I'm very confident that he will get to Saturday again, but we're still looking for that first female winner here. I just wonder if Makuru can find a bit of magic over the next few days and maybe do it herself. I'd love to see her on Saturday next week.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting actually to see how she bounces back because she never really got going at the World Championship. Prior to that, she'd faced a lot of trouble actually at the Women's Series because she was in pole position to make it to the Grand Slam. Then in that final weekend, the pressure just really got to her and Fallon Sherrock was able to leapfrog her. But Jo Mernon is another name we're going to see next week. Just come off the tour, really good, a standout name in that field.
Yeah, someone who's won a PDC Pro Tour title before, but it was nearly 10 years ago now. So it's time for Joe to find out what kind of player he wants to be over the next couple of years. Will he have an immediate bounce back to the tour in the next 12 months? Who knows? But maybe this, his first visit to the MODUS Super Series, might just give him the reps he needs to try and find out what is next for his career. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. All that action gets underway from 9:30 a.m. on Monday morning, so make sure you return to join us then. But turning our attention back to tonight, Kurt Parry's in action next, taking on Tom Londsdale. Could this be, so often we ask this question, could this be the perfect time to take on Kurt Parry? Because now he's already through.
Yes and no. It's very dependent on how Kurt is feeling about wanting to dominate this group. He can still get 14 points and say goodbye to everybody else at the bottom, but he can affect Tom Londsdale in a very big way here. Beating him, he could say, well, I actually don't want to play him tomorrow. I want to get rid of a threat in him. I can affect that, and that's the attitude I would have, so watch out for that.
Fair to say that this next match is all about which Kurt Parry turns up?
Yes, it is. Because if we get the Londsdale from the last 6 games, more often than not, Kurt will win. So let's see what happens.
Right then, let's get back into the action, shall we? It's Tom Londsdale taking on Kurt Parry.
Thank you very much, Abby, and welcome back to the magnificent live lounge in Portsmouth, home of the Super Series since September 2022. A stage that Kurt Parry will be playing in front of a crowd of tomorrow night. The Portsmouth patrons will make their way in to this magnificent venue. Tom Londsdale's had a taste of it. If he's going to be back there, he's going to have to win both his remaining games and hope and pray.
It's Tom to throw
really,
first.
the rest of the action falls in his favour. However, there's one thing Tom Londsdale can do, and that is, at any given moment, put in big numbers somewhere.
60.
Last time he was here, he carded 111.33 average. But you sense
60.
it may well, probably will be a step too far for Londsdale on this particular occasion.
96.
Very easy to say at this juncture, Henry, that Webster and Vanbazine will qualify because they have a 2-point cushion going into the final quarter of action in this group. This is the equivalent of an NFL game where it's 4th quarter and you need
100.
to score. You cannot have a couple of drives and not get into the end zone.
95.
Lonsdale's efforts over the last couple of days have not been poor.
140.
But every single shortcoming he's had has been accentuated by the quality of this group. That's the best compliment I can pay someone who is in 5th position in this table. This is one of the best Group Bs that I've seen in a while. Just so happens that I've seen people win Group B
25.
with what he's done, just not this week.
170.
Well, Parry's are going to treat us to the second big fish of the day. Lonsdale
98.
will come back for the hold of throw. And it's not
80.
just winning, it's winning by a margin that he needs to do. He finds a double 10. That was a clean kill as well. There was not really much doubt about that. He leads 1-0. That's the first step of 4. And you sense really you can only concede the solitary leg in this match.
I think the game that Lonsdale maybe had a look at in the schedule, in the practice room, is Vanbazine against Webster. That is an awful fixture to see us finish 59. On, because there's nothing he can do about it when he's finished. All he can do is beat Parry, beat Webster, and hope.
58.
Lonsdale, who won an ADC Championship Tour event last year. If you're
60.
an amateur player looking to chance your arm, that's open to anybody in the United Kingdom without a tour card. Across the men's and women's division in 2024,
45.
there's a combined prize fund of £80,000. There's 16 tour events across 4 weekends with a finals day here at the Live Lounge in
58.
Portsmouth. Head over to @Darts Circuit on Twitter or to the Amateur Darts Circuit website for more information and dates for those particular
140.
events.
When's that finals day going to be?
I believe it's in November, dates to be confirmed.
58. Kurt, you require 127.
I confirm that playing here is a bit of a joy. Might want to be part of it. Oh, I like this a
Game
lot.
shot on the
Oh,
second leg.
yeah.
Kurt
I'm
Parry.
all over that. That's more like it, Kurt. I like a bit of treble 9 tops action. Especially
Third
off the
leg,
back
it's
of a
Tom to
treble
throw
20.
first. Game on.
127 for Kurt Parry. May just be his biggest finish of the week.
140.
I can confirm that's his biggest finish of the week. 127.
And the way he hit it, it felt like 127 on
85.
flames. There's a generational gap there, isn't there?
Just a little bit.
40.
Me who's showing my age by not knowing what you mean. Kurt would probably get it.
97.
Very much one of the YouTube
125.
generation. And talking about YouTube, great segue this. 2/3 of you watching this broadcast tonight on
81.
YouTube are unsubscribed to the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. Some of you probably don't even know you're not subscribed. But click that little subscribe button which you see on the corner of your
60.
screen next to our name. Click that, you'll get notified every single time that you're live. And you can keep across all of our additional bonus content here at the Super
98.
Series.
Tom, you require 136.
Another. Almost got it as well.
120. Kurt,
beautiful
you require
visit.
140.
Does Kurt go up a notch though? Another one of those. He goes next door. People go for the
70.
18s on
Tommy
140
requires
when they
60.
believe they've only got one shot at it. Was he right?
No score.
He was wrong.
Kurt, you require 70.
But he might go 18s again. Double top.
Game shot on the third
that'll
leg.
hurt Londsdale.
Kurt Parry.
That will sting an awful lot. Tell by his facial expression when he was grabbing the towel in the
Fourth
water.
leg, it's Kurt to throw
really,
first. Game
really,
on.
Kurt? Did you have to do that? But he's got to be merciless right now. He's got to look after himself and not care what Lonsdale really wants.
134.
What I was saying with Abby there, Henry, very appropriate in this kind of situation. You have to be
96.
merciless. What if Kurt Parry just took his foot off the gas so much, he thought, you know what, does it really matter if I beat
100.
Lonsdale? What if he runs into him tomorrow and Lonsdale really turns up? And then he's thinking, well, why didn't I get rid of him
100.
yesterday? This is a chance to get rid of Tom for good in week number 10. That's how you've got to look at this situation.
97.
And as this game ticks along, Lonsdale's beginning to get the boot.
145. Kurt, you require
Very good
170.
thinking there from Tom.
96.
Now, can he take
Tom, you require
what he left?
160.
Not on this occasion, and so Parry is back for a 3-1 lead. Hasn't missed a dart at a double yet. This is
60. Kurt,
been,
you require
well, pretty much
74.
Kurt Parry's wheelhouse. The average 92.9, but he's missed the big number. But it's a good recovery with the second to lead
50.
double 12.
Tommy
And
require
he
100.
just grazes the wire.
Watch out. Double 10's about.
90.
Both
Kurt, you
grazing wires on
require
the wrong side.
24.
For a 3-1 lead.
Game shot on
To
the
put
fourth
himself a leg away.
Kurt Parry.
And to consign Tom Lonsdale to the
Fifth
Super
leg, it's Tom
Series
to throw
bin.
first.
This is catastrophic for Tom. feels as if everything has been conspiring against him
100.
since his very first game against Darren Webster yesterday, which he lost 4-2. It was a rapid-fire game over in less than 10 minutes. Webster did that to Londsdale off the back of losing to Parry. Losing to
93.
Vanbazine, I do beg your pardon. But I'm seeing a very different Kurt in this game compared to the first two
96.
tonight. He's definitely more relaxed.
So this one Lonsdale's got to put down to learning experience as he hits a 140 to
140.
leave himself on 168. Tut, tut, Tom.
Oh, no.
171.
What could go wrong has gone wrong. As soon as he leaves the bogey number, Parry just goes and obliterates that 57.
92. Kurt, you require
This might be
94.
curtains. 82 left. Ah, interesting. The treble 18 for double 14. I don't mind that
32.
whatsoever.
Tommy requires 76.
Feels like a Hail Mary moment for Tom Lonsdale. Double 8. Doesn't
60.
go. And
Kurt, you
Kurt
require
can make
62.
it curtains for Lonsdale.
Double top.
22.
Does
Tommy
favour the
requires
left-hand
60.
side of that tops when he goes for it.
No
Oh, no.
score. Kurt, you require 40.
He can't hide his despair now. I'm not sure 6 points is going to be enough.
Game, shot,
Kurt
and the
Parry
match.
was too good in
Kurt
that one.
Parry.
That was a very steady display, and Tom Lonsdale cannot hide how he feels about the fact that he continues to be bottom of the table. His leg difference has plummeted to -10, and it looks like he's gone. We'll do all of the sums in our short break that's coming up, but what you can see from Parry there is that the pressure was off, and he was able to get to 12 points. He's going to win this group comfortably with that 90.11 average, and 4 out of 7 on the doubles is much improved from what we've seen earlier tonight. Chris Quanto has got to do what Tom Lonsdale could not do there, and he's got to beat the Belgian Vanbazine coming up.
So, welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where Tom Lonsdale is now out of the equation. But I don't think many of us predicted that Chris Quanto would be in this position heading into his third match tonight. He's cut quite a frustrated figure, hasn't he? Missed multiple opportunities at the back end of legs. He got the better of James Vanbazine 4-1 yesterday with a sublime performance. Allowed the Belgian just one dart at the outer ring. But Quanto was unrelenting in that match, and you feel he needs to put in another performance similar to that one to make himself feel a bit better about life in Group B. Can he do that? We're about to find out with Paul and Henry.
Thanks, Abby. Thanks for explaining that. Tom Londsdale is gone, and the reason for that is because of the fixtures we have left.
First leg, it's Chris
This is
to
one
throw
of those
first.
fixtures.
Game on.
Because if Vanbazine wins, he goes to 8 points, which is out of reach of Londsdale. And Quanto would go to 6 if he wins.
41.
And of course, Vanbazine and Webster have still got to play it. So the intricacy of the remaining 4 fixtures means that Londsdale cannot get there. But he has fallen short.
60.
We are down to 3 players for 2 spots.
I just wonder
24.
whether the experience factor of Webster and Quanto could now come into play.
Definitely think it will for Quanto. He's been in this situation before.
45.
There would be an interesting narrative if Quanto was to qualify, because he would be involved in a finals night with Tom Sykes.
140.
The guy who took his belt off him. That was an interesting day. We arrived at this venue watching the back end of that Yorkshire belt game, marveling at how good the game was. We saw Tom Sykes win the
100.
match and thought, well, Chris losing his belt in the afternoon wasn't exactly good preparation for the finals night. What did Chris do that night?
100.
He won. So he knows all about bouncing back. In that situation, he had a few hours to do it. Here, he hasn't got a few hours. It's got to be immediate.
I'll tell you the nicest bit about that night as well was Tom Sykes won that belt match, but he stayed in the crowd.
100.
And after that night finished, both the pair congratulated each other on each other's achievements.
84.
Doesn't that sum the sport of darts up?
It does sometimes. It's not always the case. Sometimes people disappear and they don't give 2 hoots as to what happens next. But every now and again, I want you to revisit our video package of the 9 darters in between games. Look at when
100.
Sebastian Białowski hits his. And look at what
112.
Anton Östlund does. That was a nice touch. Because that made that moment even more special.
I think Anton enjoyed it more than Sebastian did, to be honest.
56. James, you require
I'm not
96.
sure about that.
Vanbazine would enjoy this 96 because it crew him a breaker throw in the opening leg of this match. It's been a bit of a slow burning first leg, but if he can find this double 18, double 9, he put himself in full control of the match at
78.
this early stage.
Chris, you require 56.
Got to do yourself a favour, Quanny. That wasn't it. Look at the despair.
24.
Do no
James, you
more.
require
Just to
18.
watch on as James has a break chance.
Splits, double 4.
Game shot
In
on
it
the first
goes.
leg.
And I feel like
James
the difference
Vanbazine.
between Tom Lonsdale and Chris Quanto is this. Tom can feel slightly aggrieved that people just ran into him like a barrage. As for Chris
Second
Quanto,
leg, it's James to throw first.
maybe a bit harsh saying
Game
the
on.
architect of his own downfall, but he has had opportunities to salvage his situation in both of the games he's played in tonight.
Yeah, that's very fair to say. He's had 2 successful shots at double in both games he's played. But overall, 10 chances in his first match, 9 in his second. He's already had 1 chance in this one, which has gone begging.
140.
Well, tonight could quite simply boil down to 2 legs for Chris Quanto. In both of his opening 2 games, he was level at 2-2 against Tom Lonsdale and Darren Webster. And in both of those games, he missed opportunities to go 3-2 in front. Subsequently lost that leg and then the
140.
leg after to lose both of his games 4-2.
$140.
It's the internal conversation you have with yourself as well in these times that can define you. What are you saying to yourself? Now, imagine if you're a dart player in Chris Quantock's position. You may be watching this and you've been on this stage or indeed in a match very recently where you need to win.
100.
What are you saying to yourself? Is it positive or is it negative? There's a thing in sports psychology called positive
41.
self-talk.
James, you require 126.
It's what you say to yourself when you're in a pressure situation like this. I sincerely hope that what Chris is saying to himself internally is positive. What is happening to him will not feel comfortable at all.
81.
One for our star referee, Charlie Corsafine, just to mull over for a second. Connie,
160.
I was going to say leaving tops after 12, but he's double 10 after 12.
45.
Pressure on this 45.
Just a bit. Double top.
Game shot on the
Oh,
second
yes,
leg.
that's very
James
clinical.
Vanbazine.
2-0, and he's inching closer to a place in
Third leg, it's
Saturday.
Chris to throw first.
A win in this game for James would get him to 8 points. And super
81.
close with 1 game to go. His final game's against Webster, who he did defeat yesterday. He will be relishing that contest, but he doesn't want it to come down to that. I guarantee you that. Now, one thing I will say, we were going to
100.
mention this tomorrow anyway, but tomorrow is actually going to be Charlie Costafine's last refereeing shift here at the MODUS Super Series. And for someone who has done thousands upon
100.
thousands upon thousands of games here in Portsmouth and in Southampton, he's been one of the hardest workers with us for the last 4 years. And I personally would like to thank Charlie for every game he has
100.
professionally reffed. He genuinely is now one of the world leaders in darts refereeing. So thank you, Charlie.
And not just is he a colleague of ours, but he's also a
48.
friend. And he's going to be a big character miss behind the scenes here at the Super Series. Not just a great ref, but a great guy as well. If there was one word to describe Charlie, it'd be brilliant.
83.
I'd call him efficient. Remember when he made his Lakeside debut?
60.
I wonder where he's going to go. He has gone to the top. Never ever wavers as well. But amazing energy levels. Great focus, which is exactly what you need as a referee and a player. That focus is needed by Quanto right now,
60.
because this game is getting away from him quickly.
$60. James, you require 158.
The double break. Not going to go, but you just get the sense that Quanto's just going to have to take out something like a 152 at some point.
66.
Just
Christian
look at how he
require
celebrated that last dart.
152.
He knows how important that could be. We're about to find out just how
100.
important it
James, you
was.
require 92.
Because if he gets a single, he'd be sitting on 132, not 92. See? Look how important it was.
Game
Look
shot
how
on the
important
third
it was.
leg. James Vanbazine.
3-0 to the Belgian, and Quanto cannot hide how he feels.
Fourth leg,
Second
it's
weekly
James to throw
title.
first. Game on.
He's withering in the wind, and the wind is strong.
Well, at this present moment in time, Quanny is in the Swanee. We may be kissing goodbye to Chris.
140.
That sounded like a tabloid headline, that one. Swanee's in the Swanee. But it has got a certain ring to it. But not the kind of thing that Chris wants to hear.
96.
Time is ticking on the Series 5 weekly champion. And if he is eliminated, we are guaranteed a new weekly winner.
Well, for Chris Quantock, it'll feel a little bit like a Madonna track.
97.
because time's flying by so slowly, but he might be hung up in a couple of minutes' time.
42.
At least we're getting an insight into what you listen to. Didn't know you were a Madonna fan. Wonder what kind of music James likes. Sometimes it's very difficult and a bit risky to
85.
guess what somebody from Belgium would listen to. Jim McEwen was here. We know what the music would be like in the practice room.
140.
It would be Whitney Houston, wouldn't it, Jim?
All I'll say is, as much as we enjoyed having Barry Van Peer here in 2023, at least through those walls now, we don't have to listen to Dutch hardcore pop or
97.
whatever rubbish he used to
Right.
listen to.
If you're watching, Berry, I'm just about to educate Henry as to what you listen to. It's called up-tempo, isn't it?
78.
Berry?
James, you require
Up-tempo.
82.
82 to put Quanto in a horrible position. That's 10, which leaves 72.
$42.
Finding it
Chris,
very
you
hard
require 145.
to think of anything that's gone Chris's way in this game. Anything at all. He's only had one dart at a double.
65.
Vanbazine's had all the chances.
James, you require 40.
He only requires one more to have the ideal result.
And because of the
Game,
legs
shots,
difference,
and the
it's
match.
enough for the
James
Belgian
Vanbazine.
to progress his way through to tomorrow night's final. On debut, there'll be a Phoenix Saturday night at the Super Series as Vanbazine gets the better of Chris Quanto by 4-0, notching 50% of the opportunities he got at a double. Chris Quanto only had a chance at a double. It felt like a game at the end of a suffering campaign as far as he is concerned. He's not going to make it 2 weekly titles here at the Super Series. We know there's going to be a new name on the cup come tomorrow night. We know it's not going to be Tom Londsdale. It could very much be Darren Webster. He can seal his route through after this.
Right then, we can now confirm that James Vanbazine and Darren Webster are into finals night on debut here at the Super Series. Regardless of what happens in our final 3 matches, they cannot be knocked out of the top 3. But does the Demolition Man know that? It'll be very interesting to find out in this one, won't it? So to talk you through all the ebbs and flows in this one, let's get back to Nico and Henry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abby. And so we know the Super Series 6 for tomorrow night here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. There's going to be a new name on the trophy, and there's going to be some ex-tour card holders that are looking to bounce back at the quickest possible opportunity. Darren Webster dropped off the tour at the end of last year. James Wilson dropped off the tour at the end of last year. Brian Roman dropped off the tour at the end of last year. One of them is hoping to kick off 2024 with a tournament victory and a place through it Champions Week in a few weeks' time here at the MODUS Super Series. And you have to say that Darren Webster
100
tonight, Paul, maybe yesterday was a bit of a limbering up to the environment and the conditions, whereas tonight, this is like the Darren Webster that did damage on the tour for a number of years.
Still more to find. I wonder if he knows. If he does, just watch out. He could do anything over the next couple of matches. Londsdale and Quanto are going to feel very, very bad that they've come up short with a game to spare in the shortest group of the week.
40.
It didn't look like this was going to happen at the halfway point, but everything seems to have conspired against Londsdale and Quanto.
85. Darren, you require 124.
Not going to get an ounce of sympathy from Webster. He's just going to hit double 11, move on.
Game shot on the first leg. Darren Webster.
A 1-2-4 for 15 data. It's just regulation when you're Darren Webster.
Every now and again, you hear Chinese whispers about how someone practices. I've heard stories about Michael Smith doing 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, 3 hours at night. I spoke to him directly and he said, oh yeah, I do
100.
That. I had dinner just under a year ago with Matt Campbell and Jeff Smith. And I said to them, how's practicing going? Oh yeah, we're practicing with Darren Webster. It's going great. We were practicing the other night and they kept a tally on the 180s that they'd hit.
60.
Matt said he'd hit something in the region of 20. Jeff had hit something in the region of about 20 as well.
83.
Darren hit 3 times that in a session.
60.
They confirmed to me that in practice, he's an absolute animal. When you can do that in practice,
60.
give that person the right vehicle to really shoot forward, they might just find another
60.
wind.
Just want to have a look at the table in terms of, we spoke in Group C about the players who came in fresh, dominating the group. Well, it's been the opposite story in Group B, where the 2 players that dropped down from Group A are currently the top 2.
95.
Those that have had to toil around a bit more are those who came in on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's a fair point to make. Because the freshmen in Group C really did come to the fore.
81. Darren, you require 126.
Ouch. That doesn't help.
82. Tommy require 107.
That helps. Earlier on today, we saw Tom van den Hoeken have 110 and he went 60 and missed the ball. Darren needs 10s.
Game shot on the second leg.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why he went for the ball. He just wanted to try and make something happen. It's a bit like trying to take the driver off the deck when you're about 285 yards away from the green. You might look a bit silly if you top it, but sometimes you just got to give it a go.
21.
As far as Tom Lonsdale's concerned, he's been on this real trajectory, hasn't he, where everything's been going upwards and upwards and upwards. ADC title win, first appearance here was so good. This is probably the first time we're going to talk about him having a little bit of a stumble in the road.
60.
And maybe perspective, we'll see how he responds to that, because I'm sure we're going to see him back again here.
Absolutely.
140.
Darts is not a smooth road. It's more like a very bumpy rally. Oh, my word. That's got to be one of the 180s of the week, that. That's up there with Connor Scott's 180, where he had 3 darts nestled in the top left corner.
180.
Now we're raining down on Maxis.
140.
What a great
Tommy
leg of
require
darts.
123.
It deserves a fitting end.
105.
That was almost it.
Darren, you require 100.
Come on, 2 balls, Darren, I dare you. No such daring.
60. Tom, you require 18.
Splits for double 4. Oh, that caresses the wire.
10.
That one
Darren,
bumps
you
off the
require
barrel, but
40.
it doesn't find a way in.
That was so symptomatic
Game
of how
shot
things
the
have gone
third
for Tom.
leg. Darren Webster.
That was a frighteningly good guide. And there was one
Fourth leg,
dart
it's Tom to
that
throw
was going to
first.
break his heart more than anything else, and it was the dart that he found. Scary, scary good that he found
96.
that gap between the dart and that double 4. But in other weeks, he hits that shot, and they're the weeks that he gets through.
140.
Did you see the devilish glint in the eye of Darren Webster there, knowing that both those darts are double 4 on the wire? He steps back up. He hits
134.
tops first time, and he's basically saying, "There you go, son. He's a bit more of a punching, a bit more of a
100.
kicking down."
He doesn't care. This is singles darts. It's not team darts. It's not doubles darts.
140.
You don't get any points for sympathy. Darren probably doesn't even know that he's through yet. He will be in a minute.
180. Tommy require 131.
Double 13. Double 16.
Game
Oh,
shot
it's a
the fourth
wonderful shot
leg.
from Londsdale.
Tom Lonsdale.
He mimics Phil Taylor from the World Darts Championship final when he beat Whitlock in
Fifth leg,
2010.
it's Darren
One
to
of the
throw
biggest
first.
finishes
Game on.
to win a world title in the history of the game. And the biggest being
140.
in PDC history?
Is it the 140 Rob Cross?
Yes, it is. 2018. Well done.
86.
Although Londsdale has been threatening that all night long.
140.
We've got a couple of minutes left of Friday night before we go into the early part of Saturday morning.
58.
So I suppose you're right. Almost all night long. But he needed that. He misses that. He's going to lose 4-0.
140.
And the good news is, my friends, the night is young. There's 2 more games still to come. Webster here,
140.
averaging over a
Darren, you
ton. Is on for a
require
potential
81.
11-dart leg to get the job done. Double 16 for 12 to wrap it up
49.
in style. He is going to come back.
Not messing around. He's a builder by trade, and sometimes he takes the odd
100.
tea
Darren,
break,
you
but
require 32.
Darren is not taking any breaks here. Double 4.
Game,
Wonderful.
shot, and
What
the
a
match.
great,
Darren
great
Webster.
game from Darren Webster, who now cements his ticket for Saturday night with that win. He was already through, of course, but he sprints off the stage. He's got one more game to play against James Vanbazine a little bit later on, but that's just an indication of what Darren Webster can still do. He's got himself 3 wins tonight. If he beats the Belgian in game number 10, he's going to go through the card tonight like Kurt Parry did last night. When we come back, it will be Parry up against Quanto, who now knows that he's not going to get his second weekly title.
Right then, can Chris Quanto put tonight's disappointment behind him to sign off from his latest Super Series campaign with a win? It really didn't look like things would pan out this way at the halfway stage. Quanto played at such a consistently high level last night, was in total control of his own destiny, but missed starts at double have proved costly for him tonight, and his chances of qualifying are over with a game to spare. As for Kurt, he's known for some time that he's already through and will finish top of the league standings. But to see who ends their Group B campaign with a win, let's get back to Nico and Henry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abby.
Game on.
So for Quanny, time to sign off. For Parry, time to lay down a marker.
60.
Abby was very, very accurate when she was talking about Quanny's doubles. 4 hits from 20 coming into his 4th match.
26.
Not enough opportunities. Obviously not enough hits. That's only 20%.
57.
When you consider what Darren Webster's done tonight as a barometer of what he needed to do.
100.
Webster has hit 12 because he's won all 3 games. He's had 23 attempts. There's not a great
60.
deal between them after 3 games completed. But Webster's 52%. There you go. Do I need to see anything
35.
else?
And the thing is for Quantock is, you say those 4 out of 20. What as if he was given little opportunities here and there
57.
and they've just accumulated? He missed in patches. They were a couple of visits at the board at a certain point in
100.
time.
Well, let's face it, in his first game against Londsdale, which he lost 4-2, he had 10 darts at double and hit 2.
100.
That's plenty of opportunities in a game. That's half of his opportunities in one match tonight. Getting off on the wrong footing can have such a massive
100.
effect.
Kurt, you require 167.
He did have 9 opportunities in his second game as well. Game that he lost.
42.
to Webster by
Chris, you require
4 legs to 2
140.
as well. The 19s here, or indeed
74.
treble
Kurt, you
13,
require 125.
as he so wished.
The idea was bull 25 bull.
45.
Executed, and
Chris,
so
you require
Quantock comes back
66.
for 66 to get the break in the opening leg. Can Chris get his kicks on route
26.
66?
Kurt, you require 80.
Double 10.
Game
He
shot on the
spent
first
a lot
leg.
of time on
Kurt
double 5
Parry.
this week as Kurt Parry, especially the first 3 days of the week,
Second
but
leg, it's
less
Chris to
time
throw
in the last
first.
couple of days, which is a very good sign. Are you aware, Henry, that when you go to the United
57.
States, how they number the roads? The roads from left to right or right to left are even numbers.
30.
The roads from north to south or south to north are odd numbers. That's how they allocate them. As for the UK,
81.
your guess is as good as mine. But wherever you go, you'll see a portion of the A6.
57.
I used to live just off the A6 in Northamptonshire, you know. And I used to live just off the A6 in Lancashire too.
96.
Really weird.
Pretty much that, and the A1 takes up the whole of the UK.
The A6 is one strange
60.
road.
Yeah, there's some interesting names of roads in the UK.
Ooh, what's that?
55.
That really tested Charlie, that one. Somebody get the magnifying glass. That was a weird dart.
140.
Well, we were both in the booth for the infamous "It's in" moment, and it was almost another one of them.
Well, Charlie said it was
92.
touching the treble 5, which means that if the point is touching the sisal, it will register
100.
points. If it's
Chris, you
touching the
require
wire, it does not.
120.
Climbing the ladder to the top rung.
Game
Leg
shot on the
one,
second
1-1.
leg. Chris
Quantock
Quantock.
with his first ton top of the night.
You were talking about weird roads?
Third leg, it's Kurt to throw first. Game on.
Yes.
Have you got any good examples?
Repeatable on air.
preferably.
140.
You got Christmas Pie Avenue.
That's pretty cool. Where's that?
60.
Nottingham.
Christmas Pie Avenue.
Christmas Pie Avenue.
89.
On tour, I once stayed in a hotel in Bad Nauheim called Elvis Presley Strasse.
140.
True story. And that was the weekend that Mark Webster won his only PDC title.
55.
Got some more. You got Frying Pan Avenue in London.
Loads of streets like that in London.
54.
World's End
40.
Road in Birmingham.
Sounds a bit ominous.
There's a street called No Name Street in Sandwich in
41.
Kent.
That's very good. I still maintain, because I've been to the area of Wales where
99.
Parry's from, and I had a car at the time with a sat-nav that was not part of the car, and I put in the address of the hotel that I
96.
was
Turkey requires 78.
using when I was doing an exhibition at Scarlet's Rugby Club. Hearing my sat-nav trying to pronounce Welsh
68.
streets,
Christian
in
requires
that part,
110.
it was hilarious. This has not been a funny night for Chris. Anything but a joke.
54.
Double
Kurt, you
five for
require
Kurt
10.
Parry again.
Game
And
shot
yet
on the
another
third
leg
leg.
won
Kurt
on
Parry.
that double to double his lead.
We've been speaking about road names. Chris Quantot's been in Double
Fourth leg,
Five
it's Chris
Avenue
to
all
throw
night.
first.
And once again, he has reached his destination.
22.
Sometimes when you're in this position, it's very hard just to tell your body to do what you want it to do.
58.
Don't know if Brian Roman is still watching right now, but I'm sure he'll be really happy for James
135.
Vanbazine to make Saturday night. I think it's an incredible story this week. Can you imagine if he was to win tomorrow?
60.
Or should I say later tonight? Because it will be a short matter of 19 hours and 20 minutes from now that we will start our finals coverage on the
123.
MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. Group stage games will be live on YouTube, and then from 10 o'clock we will be live on Sporty
57.
Stuff TV as well for the semis and final. See who wins week number 10.
If one of Roman
58.
or Vanbazine wins tomorrow night, it would mean that Belgium would become the 13th different nationality to have won a week at the Super Series
140.
out of 29 who have played here. Good strike rate.
We have had
96.
Belgians before. Kevin Blommer, he's from Belgium, right? John Desramore.
100. Christian requires 67.
The closest to a weekly title was Andy Barton's. He lost out to a Luke Littler, averaging 117. The ball for
Game shot on the fourth
Quay!
leg. Chris
Well, at least he's got
Quanto.
something to go home with. It's not a souvenir he would have liked to have taken back.
Fifth leg. It's Kurt to throw first. Game on.
You can almost see the funny side of it.
Sometimes these campaigns where you don't get through can be just as valuable
134.
as the times you win. You might think that's a weird statement to make, but imagine how Chris is going to feel going home knowing that he's not
100.
going to play on Saturday night. When he returns here at some point, he'll be saying to himself, I don't want to feel like that again. His motivation will
42.
change. It won't be, I want to win the week. I want to qualify for Saturday. I do not want to feel the way I felt the last time.
121.
And that's exactly what Tom Sykes did today. He said to himself, I'm not thinking about getting to Saturday.
58.
I just don't want to feel the way I did last October. And he went through that glass ceiling earlier today.
60.
It just so happens that it could be his Saturday tomorrow. Chris will have to wait for another.
And as Tom was very quick to remind me, it's a 5-hour
140.
journey back to Yorkshire.
Which for a lot of people in the south of England, we can confirm is up north.
100. Kurt, you require
You won't believe how many times I have
127.
that conversation with people.
Definitely past the Watford Gap, isn't it? The ball! And that would have been for
102.
1-2-7 and game once again for
120.
Parry.
Gonna go for the 60 instead of the 2 bulls.
43. Kurt, you require
There's
25.
an argument for the 2 bullseyes. This is double 8.
Game shot
That is
the fifth
double
play.
4.
Kurt Parry.
I think he's looking at the board there, Kurt, as if to say that second dart was rather close to double
6 gets Chris to
16.
throw first. Game
Just
on.
because he's been so switched on for the last 4.5 days doesn't mean he still hasn't got a sense of humour.
91.
He's not going to tell anybody about those shoes, you know. It's a really close guarded secret.
100.
Doesn't want anybody else to get any. He brought 2 pairs with him this week. Really dark burgundy colour, which I thought were very, very fetching.
7.
And these bad boys.
Whereabouts on the Bigsometer would you put these?
100.
Oh, I do prefer these ones. You know what they remind me of? And I know that nobody's going to get this
100.
reference. But I'd like to pay homage to one of the first people I ever played with in a darts team back in 1997.
46.
I had the privilege to play with someone who was old school. He had the slick hair. He used to play in an old beige sweatshirt. He looked $1 million every Monday night
57.
at East Hartford Club in Cramlington, Northumberland. A guy by the name of John Mullen. A lovely man he was.
59.
And what a great team we had. Really missed that guy. And he always wore the shiniest, most pristine shoes I've ever seen.
136.
When I saw those on Monday, it reminded me of John. So, Kurt, thank you for reminding me of my old friend John.
95. Chris, you require 110.
To send us all the way. Not going to happen, and so can Kurt Parry finish off with a ton topper. Hasn't been a classic game.
40.
Didn't really expect
Kurt,
this
you
to be
require
because everything
101.
has kind of been sealed. But can Kurt finish with a flourish, a moment of
61.
brilliance?
Chris, you require 70.
Not this time.
What's Quanny got left in the locker? That really has missed by some way, so
30.
maybe the
Kurt,
answer
you
is
require
nothing.
40.
Well, Parry was perfect on night 1.
Game, shot,
And he
the
makes it
match.
3 wins
Kurt
from
Parry.
4 on night 2. He's only lost 1 game in Group B, and he is going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to tomorrow night's finally. 4-2 victory against Chris Quanto, who played so well yesterday. It just did not happen for him tonight. One more game to go. James Vanbazine and Dan Webster are definitely into tomorrow night's final. Let's dot the I's and cross the T's after this short break.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where I'm now joined by the man who will finish this Group B campaign top of the table. Kurt, just sum up how you're feeling right now, because at times out there you cut quite a frustrated figure tonight.
Yeah, it's just didn't feel focused, just didn't feel like anything was going right, and I managed to win a couple of games tonight, obviously, and yeah, I'm over the moon to top the group because tough group, really tough group. So yeah, I'm over the moon, just a bit unhappy with my performances, that's all.
Do you think part of the reason you struggled to focus was because it was almost job done last night, so then maybe it was more difficult to find that same level?
Yeah, pretty much. I just didn't want to lose all four tonight and then look like a donut, to be honest. But no, once I won the first game, then I felt a bit more relaxed. But I haven't been focused really. Just couldn't put it all together.
And against James, you really seem to be berating yourself up on the stage. Was that more to do with the pace or just that you couldn't find what was required?
A bit of both. You know, you're trying to find a rhythm, and you know James is more methodical as well. You know, which is how he throws. You know, he's not doing it on purpose, but yeah, it's nice to throw and be in a game, and especially when you can't focus, trying to find something, it's better to be in a rhythm. But yeah, somehow I came through that and won, so it took the pressure off as well a bit. But yeah, I'm reasonably happy.
And for you to top such a stacked group in Group B, how much does that tell you about where your game is at right now?
Well, yeah, yesterday it was looking fantastic, but then today not so much. But still, you know, I won 3 games tonight, so yeah, I'm happy, you know.
Yeah.
But again, tomorrow's a different day, and we'll go again, and hopefully it clicks tomorrow.
So what's the main aim between now and finals night? Will you reflect on tonight too much or just focus on the positives?
Yeah, it's more just that I won games, got through, top the group. Try and forget a bit about tonight and just see how it goes tomorrow.
Well, we think you're being incredibly hard on yourself. You've been a joy to watch in Group B. We look forward to seeing you back in action on finals night. We do, of course, have one more game to be completed tonight. So let's hand back over to Henry Deacon and Paul Nicholson to get it underway.
Final game, and very many congratulations to Kurt Parry for what has been a really good long campaign throughout the week in week 10. Very solid in Group A and never really troubled at the top of Group B. So he will go into Saturday night full of confidence, looking to get his first weekly title here, just like the other 5, because we are going to get a new weekly champion here. If you think Group B is good, how about you put Darren Webster and James Wilson and Kurt Parry and Brian Roman in the same group with Vanbazine as well, and Tom Sykes, because that's what you're going to get on Saturday night. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
It's at that point of the week where people will be tipping up who they think are going to win and from what groups and what quarters.
98.
And why didn't you get involved in the conversation at MSS Darts on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram? And if you are watching
100.
on the YouTube channel, I have got a very important message for you. If you have not clicked that subscribe button, do so now. Before you go to bed, before you turn us off, click that little subscribe button.
41.
Helps with our analytics. It means you'll get a notification every single time we go live. 2/3 of you watching this broadcast tonight are not subscribers to the Super Series
100.
YouTube channel. And if you do subscribe, between me and you, I'm going to make a promise. The more subscribes, the better the content we're going to produce. Let's just have a little bit of a secret deal. We'll shake hands in the midnight sunset.
38.
He used to making secret deals in the sunset at 22 minutes past midnight.
Less said, the better.
60.
Here's me thinking I knew you, Deacon.
There's a darker underbelly.
Well, many congratulations to these two who have already qualified ahead of their last game. That in itself is a very good mission accomplished.
60.
We're going to have English players, we're going to have Belgian players, and a Welsh player. Who's the favourite?
100.
going into Saturday night. Ooh, well, your guess is as good as mine. Everybody can lay a claim to a possible weekly title, that's for sure.
60. Darren, you require
Something else
141.
as well that we have to address. Treble 19. Missed. But a
109.
wonderful layup for 32. Demolition Man going for 8 points tonight. Cement second spot. Whoever wins this game will get second place in the table.
140.
One thing we do know,
Darren, you require 32.
is that with Kurt Parry
Game shot on the first
winning
leg.
the group,
Darren Webster.
if Darren Webster wins this game, they will
Second
not
leg, it's Darren to
be in
throw
the same
first.
group
Game on.
tomorrow. The other thing I'm gonna mention, this is really important.
100.
We've got people who have qualified for Champions Week that can't play. Chris Landman can't play. He's a PDC Pro now. Willie Borland can't play after winning week 1. He's a PDC Pro now. Steve West is unable to play
100.
due to injury. There are going to be a minimum of 3 spots available
83.
for runners up. Just imagine if you have a really good averaging week and you finish second this week, you might still make week 13.
And I can tell you that the player top of that list is also ineligible. That's Dom Taylor. He's a PDC Pro Tour player now.
58.
Opportunities are plenty over the next 3 Saturdays.
100.
As we know what is happening, as we get closer to Champions Week, we will keep you abreast of the situation. Best run of someone who didn't win their week? Jacob Taylor.
41.
Got all the way to the final. He got the late call. Made his way over from Canada. It was worth it. He bagged £10,000
94.
losing to Littler in that final last year.
Josh Payne, the other alternate to have ever made a Champions Night. He lost in the semi-finals to Graham Usher in Series 1. What a night that was.
60. Darren, you require
That was a great night.
124.
Especially for Conan Whitehead.
73.
A bit ragged that visit, but that treble 19 made it look a little bit better than it probably was.
The thing is, even though Darren Webster looks like he's just playing a little bit more laboured, he's still averaging 92 and change.
180.
Vanbazine has
Darren,
entered
you
the
require
scene.
51.
Because he's been besieged so far.
Game shot on the
Dead
second
cat
leg.
alert.
Darren Webster.
That was a dead cat 180 because it meant nothing.
Third leg, it's James.
By
to
the way,
throw
if you want the
first. Game
definition
on.
of the old dead cat shot, you're going to have to ask Dan Dawson. Because he made it up.
The thing in politics, isn't it, where in the Houses of Parliament, if
43.
a politician, say for example a Prime Minister, is a figure of speech, that if there's something like a policy that they want to get distracted
100.
from, they throw a dead cat at the dispatches box.
How do you know that? What do you watch, Deacon? Do you watch BBC Parliament in your spare time?
Politics A-level. Knew it come in handy one day.
Oh, right. Now I
100.
get you. I was too busy doing biology and physical education and maths.
140.
We could talk about the Electoral College if you want in a minute.
I'd rather not.
Useless fact on it, California has the most votes, 55, at a US presidential election.
I actually did know that because I've watched way too much CNN when I've been abroad. It's
81.
it's usually the only English channel. I don't think Darren knows that, but
140.
tell you what he does know a lot about, dovetail joints, because he's a joiner by trade. But like we said earlier in the Group B campaign, if you asked Darren to build you a house, he could do it from top to bottom. Very, very well.
180.
3-0,
Darren, you require
1-2-1.
121.
Is the bullseye calling? Nope. The real miss on dart 2.
99.
Worked
James, you
out pretty
require
well.
97.
What was he doing with that last dart? Was he going for a single 5 and it's almost at the treble 20?
We're having some late night fun here at the Live Lounge.
He went for double 19, of course, to try and leave tops.
39.
A double
Darren,
11.
you require
We'll
22.
give Webster. I would have given him. Oh,
No
Darren,
score.
what have you done? Should have gone
James,
for double
you
11 with your
require
first start,
58.
not the second one.
Well, it's been the Rocky Horror Comedy Show here at the Super Series. It'll be an Rocky Picture Horror Show for Dan Webster. If this goes, it
Sean
does.
Thursday.
2-1.
James Vanbazine.
Really is one of the weirdest legs I've seen all week.
Fourth leg, it's Darren to throw first. Game on.
I've seen some weird shots this week. Crazy James Wilson 180.
140.
That leg. The previous match where we had that dart balancing in the treble 5.
And now you know what a dead cat is.
This goes to show
60.
how smart you are, Henry.
Have my uses every now and then.
I'll never forget the night when
54.
Richard North strolled into this commentary box and he said, I bet you I know more movies that Tom Hanks has been in than you. And I thought, you just asked me the wrong question. So we went backwards and forwards and he just kept going backwards and forwards and I kept throwing stuff back at him. Richard North lost.
100.
He says, I'm never going to lose this game. And he lost at the first attempt. That was
Bet it's a barrel of laughs at a party.
funny. Richard.
92.
You want people like Richard North at a party. Heart and soul of a party is the lion heart.
Or is it the mouth from the south? Or is it Northie?
All of the above. Not like the movie Brewster's Millions where it's none of the above. That's all of the above.
180.
He's looking for 341 and 6.
And now Webster's cooking on maximum
180.
gas.
James, you require 161.
Yeah, I just wonder which way he's going to go for 35. How can he leave double 11? Oh, that's right. Single 13, double 11, Darren.
Sure the spotter will enjoy that one.
57. Darren, you require 35.
Nothing's out of the question. See?
Game shot on the fourth leg. Darren Webster.
17, double 9, as you do. 14 darter, Darren Webster. Ladies and gentlemen, the MODUS Super Series.
Fifth leg, it's James to throw first. Game on.
There's no such thing as conviction round these parts. And Webster's a leg away now from the perfect night.
$60. 100. 100.
Well, we're edging closer towards the finishing line and we're edging closer towards tomorrow night's final. And you can join us at
100.
tomorrow night's finale. You can join us on YouTube from 7:30 p.m. on the Super Series YouTube channel. We'll then be live on Sporty Stuff TV. That's from 10 o'clock. Where we'll have the semi-final and final action for you, where we'll find out the identity of the 10th weekly winner of Series 6 and who is going to claim their place at Champions Week. And if Darren Webster plays like he has done tonight, then it could very much be his name in the pot. He's had averages of 100.63. He's had a 95.68. He's averaging 98.11 here. And he's doubling for the night. has been in excess of 50%.
140. Darren, you require 161.
Can he finish with a flourish? He's not going to tease us with a big ton topper.
105. James, you require 76.
Well, to keep us going one leg more. We haven't had a 4-3 so far this evening. We've not had a last leg decider. And Vanbazine keeps this game going one leg longer. But Webster here throws for the match. Throws.
Sixth leg, it's Darren to throw first.
What would be a perfect night? He beat Parry 4-1. He beat Quanto 4-2. He beat Londsdale 4-1.
60. $60. 100.
Wonder what Paul Nicholson's thoughts of tonight are. We'll find out in a few minutes' time because he's gone to join Abby for the end of show presentation. It is yours truly
96.
until the end of play, whenever that will be.
$140.
Could be in 6 starts time. Webster with the 140 puts himself in cruise control on a leg he was throwing first in. And she's 6 starts away from the perfect night.
100.
2 visits for a 4-2 win.
140.
That is as good a layup as it could have got. $61 points away from a perfect night. He is set Friday night alight.
55.
And he's going to be a perennial contender for the Saturday night jackpot tomorrow. Tops for the match.
21.
But the win hasn't been secured as of yet. Gonna come back for 3 more. Vanbazine will regroup ahead of a final on his debut tomorrow night. The ADC European qualifier doing that system proud, and he's going to be in the race for the £5,000 jackpot.
100. Darren, you require
He's won the
40.
overall battle in terms of qualification. But it's Webster who wins the last game of the night. And the Demolition Man has demolished the field. 4 wins from 4 for Darren Webster on Friday at the Super Series. And he is into Saturday night's final on debut. A 4-2 victory, a 95 average, 40% on the doubles. That's kind of been his wheelhouse throughout the course of the night. James Vanbazine is going to be making his way to the final on debut. It's been a fantastic campaign as far as he's concerned. But Darren Webster was on 2 points at the beginning of the night. He was joint bottom of the group. He finishes it in 2nd place and on double digits. 10 points to his name and +8 in terms of legs difference. Him and James Vanbazine will be joined by Kurt Parry. He topped the group on 14 points. Joined by Vanbazine and Webster, who won the last game of the session by 4 legs to 2.
Darren Webster then victorious in our final match of the Group B session. But James Vanbazine, his reaction as he left the stage. We'd been talking about how he'd not really shown much emotion. There was a bit of an outburst there. Fantastic to see.
Yeah, a great week for him. I think when he came into this week, he looked around, he saw stars of yesteryear, people with a lot more experience and maybe more talent than him. But he has worked and ground out some great results over the 2 groups that he's played. He's been superb. And he's been a real breath of fresh air. And I don't throw that phrase in very much. But when you've got somebody who is fairly new to our audience, it's nice to see a new story. And for him to make Saturday is a win in itself.
Yeah, it really is. A little bit more methodical. It was quite interesting to hear Kurt Parry say, wasn't it, that he's still trying to find a way to deal with that kind of player. He certainly did so tonight to get the win he needed. We can have a little look then at the 10 results that we've seen tonight. And it all started to go Pete Tong for Quanto in that opening game, didn't it, against Tom Londsdale. Missed so many darts at the outer ring, and that was a theme that continued.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was 4 out of 19 with the first couple of games. That, unfortunately, isn't good enough. Chris knows that. When he goes back to Yorkshire overnight or in the morning, he's going to be ruining the opportunities that he's had, particularly towards the end of day 1 and at the start of day 2, which put him in that bottom 2, and he was just not able to get out of it.
Yeah, it was quite interesting speaking to Kurt Parry once we'd finished our interview. I said, you've been really hard on yourself there. So I showed him some of his numbers and he said, I really didn't think I'd put in a 90 average all evening. He was quite hard on himself, but he's played at a really good level.
Yeah, he has. That is one mission. And it's the same for the other 5 players who've made it to Saturday night as well. It's a different mission now. You talked to James Wilson earlier this afternoon or yesterday, and that was about the intricacy of playing a Saturday night compared to playing in a group scenario leading up to that. Now they're all going to be in that different scenario. You're going to need that extra gear at times, whether it's just for 2 legs to get a result or to get into a position that can win you a match. I just get the feeling that maybe Kurt Parry, if he turns up on Saturday night, he could blow everybody away, even with the brilliance of Rahman, of James Wilson, of Darren Webster and others. But it's just a question of whether he can and whether he will.
Absolutely. You mentioned Darren Webster there. I believe we can hear from him now. He's with Henry Deacon.
Darren, it felt businesslike from first start to last this evening.
Yeah, yesterday was a bit of teething problems, you know what I mean? I turned up here, didn't have a clue what I was doing. I kept going for the stage, like to throw, and he was going, no, stand back, stand back. I fell down the whole 3 times on the stage. So I learnt a bit last night, and I thought, you know what, tonight, now I know what I'm doing. Just come and win 2, 3, 4 games or whatever. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I want to win them all like I did. But, a little bit different tonight. Getting used to it.
Now you're settled in, do you feel like we saw tonight some real good numbers from you? Do you feel like there's still more to come as well?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what I mean? That's just got to keep going, ain't you? Do you know what I mean? I'm still in the old tooth now, mate. I just turn up and throw my darts, and that's what you have to do, you know. But I mean, this week coming here, I mean, the competition is incredible, really. They're all averaging 96s and 95s, you know. You can't just come here and sort of whip your way through it. You actually got to play proper darts, mate, or you're getting beat, and it's as simple as that. And I've really enjoyed myself here. That's an eye-opener.
Is that a big thing as well, enjoying it? Obviously, fresh off the Pro Tour, the fact you can come back to places like this, learn to enjoy it. And also, do you get that feeling that you can come back and feel as if you can win these tournaments, win these competitions? You've got that real edge back again?
Thing it is, mate, if I hit my darts, I think I'll beat anyone in the world, which I've done numerous times. But, you know, that's just, what you got to do is you've not got to even think about it. You just got to turn up, throw your darts, play good darts, and then as long as you you got to get the timing right. You know what I mean? I mean, look at Connor Scutt this week. He's played absolutely brilliant. Timing, though, has been a little bit out on a couple of legs, and he's out. And that's what it is, mate. But these people are playing that good against him. And, you know, even though his timing's out, if they ain't playing good, they're out anyway. But, you know, and that shows you how difficult it is in this MODUS Super Series. And, you know, fair dues. I've really enjoyed it this week. It's been great.
And into the finals tomorrow night. How much would you like to kickstart 2024 with a tournament win?
Well, yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? But it's a new day for me tomorrow, so I'll just wake up, do my normal thing, just sit there, be bored in my room for about 98 hours, and then I've just got to come here and throw darts again and just see what happens, you know? But now I'm 2 days into it, 3 days, I could be quite dangerous, so you never know with me, mate.
You're loving every single moment of this.
Of course I am. You know we do. Every time, mate. But, yeah, brilliant.
We're enjoying having you here. We wish you all the best tomorrow. Right on, Darren.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, we certainly are enjoying having Darren Webster here. Great to hear him say there how much he's enjoying this Super Series experience, and he's certainly learned that a high level is required.
Yeah, very much so. I think when some people come here, because it's not at the elite PDC level, that maybe they can get away with a slightly lesser standard. But Darren has learned very quickly that the standard that he was showing towards the end of 2023, getting to the PDC World Championship in a qualifier, he's going to have to bring that level of darts to succeed here as well.
Yeah, and so agonisingly missed out at Q School. But from tonight compared to last night, what are the main differences you saw this evening that maybe weren't there last night?
He started so much better tonight. He was out of the traps immediately, whereas last night in his first game, he just looked a little bit lost. Just trying to feel out the temperature of this place, the spatial awareness, maybe just getting used to the surroundings as well. When he came in here tonight, he looked like he was at home, and it could be his week.
Yeah, and as he said himself, trying not to fall down the holes on the stage. Let's see confirmation then of the final Group B table. And it is Parry who finished top, lost just one game over the course of his 8. Really impressive indeed. Darren Webster finishing second on debut on 10 points. And James Vanbazine on 8 points. Chris Quanto, though, very disappointingly missing out, he and Tom Londsdale on 4 points in the league table. We can move on to the group breakdown then, and confirmation that we have our field for finals night. Brian Rahman was the first player to book his spot there on Wednesday. Very impressive indeed, especially when you consider he's of course not long had surgery. Group C concluded this afternoon. James Wilson became just the second player in Super Series history to go through the card on Thursday and Friday. Who is your pick, Paul Nicholson, to come through that field?
That is a really tough question at this stage. We've got some numbers to crunch, but the gut feeling at this point in time is James Wilson, because he hasn't lost yet. That speaks numbers. But has he gotten away with a couple of games in Group C? Maybe he would admit that. So it's going to be a real scrap. I do see the final going the distance this week, and there are many different combinations that are possible. That's one of the reasons why it's going to be so watchable.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous lineup, and there are still tickets available. So if you fancy a night at the darts tomorrow, watch this video and come and join us.